Right.
Well, I've got loads of ironing done waiting, so this is good.
Cool.
I don't bother with ironing. Overrated, I think.
Well, if you saw the state of my shirts, you'd know that they do need ironing.
Again, I just sort of sweat a little bit into them in the drive to work, and they sort of flatten themselves out.
Nice.
Oh, that's just such a good image.
Who needs steam?
Hot sweat on a nice summer's day.
That's it. Pressing against the seat.
Yeah.
No, I'm literally joking. My wife irons my shirts, my work shirts for me.
My wife usually does, because if I'm doing them, she can't bear how slow I do them. But she's out. Yeah. She's out tonight, so I've got no excuse.
Right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome, dear listeners. This is episode 84 of the Devon Dice podcast, recorded on the 26th of August 2021. And this is, I named it Return of the Kallax. I don't know, just thought it was funny. Anyway, my name is Joel Wright, host of this show, and we have a bumper show for you tonight, because not only have we been away for a long time, but we've also got actually all the co-hosts joining me tonight. So sit back, relax, it's most likely going to be a long one, and they've got plenty to say. So joining me tonight, we have the dulcet tones of Exeter Chiefs number 1,032 fan, Sam Freeman.
Yo.
He's working in the background. He's busy. He left me without saying a word and disappeared off into the night. Now he's not even in Devon anymore, so we're considering revoking his Devon Dice membership. Good evening, Lewis Jones.
Hello. How you doing? You right?
Yes. We'll talk about that later. Anyway. And as always, when you make a guest appearance on this show, you get sucked in onto a permanent unpaid spot of the show. That's right, we've now got our own in-house board game designer to tell us everything he knows about board game, because we know nothing. That is Nick Shaw.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Nick. Welcome back. Hello there, everyone. Joel here in the editing booth, and I just want to apologise for the poor audio quality that might happen throughout the podcast. I spent a lot of time and money on my internet upgrading it and getting a new router installed to have the best connection possible, because I was teaching at home for half the year and it chose this night to be really poor and shoddy. So I do apologise, this signal ain't great, and I do the best I can, because I actually recorded most of this show on the 4G network through my phone. It is still a good podcast. I did the best I can to limit the distractions, but you might find there's a bit of interference and cutting in and out as I do fiddle around with the systems. So please sit back and enjoy this podcast, and I'll see you on the other side, hopefully.
Thank you very much.
Oh man, it's been a very, very long time since we last did a show, which was actually Christmas time, was the Christmas show we did. And you probably all were worried where we had gone, what had happened, but basically life really got in the way. I mean, there's been so much happening in the last, 8-9 months now, that just too busy, couldn't get around to doing it, couldn't meet up, and just didn't feel like recording it. Personally, it was very, very hard work this last few months.
Busy, stressful times.
It was. But a lot has gone on, and as I said, Lewis has moved out of Devon. Not out of the country this time, just out of Devon.
Yeah.
So New Zealand didn't want him, and I don't know what is it? No, Surrey doesn't. I don't know if Surrey wants him now.
No, Wiltshire.
Wiltshire, sorry.
They definitely don't want him. No.
Yeah,
they don't want you either.
It's all right. I bought a house that's in the middle of the woods, nowhere near anyone else. I don't care who wants me. I don't want them. I'm actually in the process of moving as well now. Finally. Oh.
And
you've talked about it for a while. You're moving to Ivy Bridge.
for about years now for moving. Yeah, we're just going up the road, out of this little hellhole. Hopefully, I have better internet signal than I do have here, and yeah, just moving up the road. But so we're now in a process of actually buying a brand new house, and it won't be ready until January, I should say, or February next year. So stuck here for a bit longer.
New build, is it? New build.
New build, yeah. So
fantastic.
Yes. So hopefully new digs to record from. Probably be the kitchen, dining room place, but or the garage, one of the two. So yeah. Anything else happening to you lot?
What, in the last 18 months?
Yeah. Sam's trying to get on his bike.
I bought and sold an exercise bike in all that time. I sold and bought expensive cameras that I haven't used. Yeah, all the same normal stuff. Booked holidays I couldn't go on, that kind of thing.
It's not stopped Joel. He goes gallivanting around the country. I don't know how he does it. He's always jet setting around the world.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I've been to Cyprus only just 2 weeks back now.
Private airline that flies in without
private airline.
You'll find that the places that are on the green list are all the places the Tory MPs want to go on holiday themselves.
Yeah.
So Crete, no problem. Want to go to Crete? Yeah, you're fine. Dominic Raab wants to go paddleboarding instead of rescuing people from Afghanistan. So you're fine if you want to go somewhere like that. Japan, though, can't go to Japan.
I don't think.
Oh yeah, you were meant to be going to Japan, weren't you?
It was meant to be in June last year. Then we tentatively rebooked for May this year, and that was clearly a no-go. And then I had the chance this afternoon of booking relatively cheap flights again for May next year. And this time I am not going to risk it. I just can't be bothered. I'm going to wait until it's all definite now, because I just don't. In Japan's quite bad at the moment, so I just don't know if they're going to be open again by the time we would go. So.
Yep.
I mean, we were meant to be going to Cyprus last year, and we cancelled, of course, and moved it to this year, thinking it should have cleared up by then. And then right up until probably the week before, we were still umming and ahhing whether we should do it or not. And then we just said, fine, let's just go and see what happens. And it was actually very hot. But not only that, was that they always wearing masks everywhere. So you can't go in shop. You have to go in shops, restaurants, other indoor places. They wear masks. No excuses. No one's got an excuse. No one was wearing this lanyard with a sunflower on it or something like that. You wear a mask or you don't go in. And they also have what they call a Cyprus pass, where it's basically you fill out this information online whether you've been double vaccinated or tested by a proper person like a pharmacy or doctor within the last 74 hours or something like that. And you have to show that wherever you go, if you want to go restaurants, shops, on activities, things like that, you have to show this Cyprus pass. And there's once or twice I saw a family turn up to a restaurant and they couldn't produce a Cyprus pass, they got turned away. So I mean, no complaints there.
Proper enforcement. Wow.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So,
We've got the same. We're going to Gran Canaria in 2 weeks. Hopefully, see what happens. Spain wasn't added to the red list today, so I've got hope. But the kind of loopholes, things you have to jump through to kind of go in the first place and then come back again. It's like I'm petrified of doing something wrong and not being able to go or not being able to come back.
Yeah,
been quarantined for months.
Well, that was always the kind of constant fear.
Right now, we don't have to get a PCR test before we go because we're both double vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
We have to fill a form out on a Spanish health website before we arrive to confirm our status. But again, we don't need to have a PCR test to get in. And we don't have to quarantine because we're both double vaccinated. But 3 days before we come back, we've got to fill out a form on the gov.uk website and get PCR tests from somewhere in Gran Canaria. So it's just, this is all I've realised. I'm pretty sure there's something else I've missed, so I've got to double check things.
And you have to PCR test when you come back, probably.
Because
2 days afterwards.
We don't have to have a 2 or 8 day. At the moment, we don't. But
is it green or amber?
It's amber.
I think you might have, because we had to. So you said exactly everything we had to do, but when we got home, we had to purchase these PCR tests.
They're not
for
cheap,
like,
are they?
No, they're like 40 odd quid or something like that per test.
Cheap as chips. Cheap as chips.
That's
Over
quite
Dragomino.
cheap.
You get that one for the whole family. That's
I've heard most PCRs are above 100 quid.
Yeah.
Depends where you get them from. It's
Oh, well,
crazy
these we
market.
found were for
Get
40
them off the
quid
barrel
per
boy around the
person.
back of the wait.
Per person, they were 40 quid.
wow.
And yeah, we had to do that 2 days after coming home. So yeah.
I luckily, right before the pandemic hit, I just spent 16 months out of the country. So I was kind of pretty done with abroad, to be honest. It's not really bothered me at all. I'm still not keen to leave the country just yet either.
That's because Depot's still looking for him.
Yeah. Interpol, probably.
Oh, Interpol.
Somebody's
not
really
Depot.
angry about my name.
Oh, dear.
See, now I've just followed a different link because I googled that exact thing just to make sure. Because I've got a bookmarks tab open on my Chrome browser, so I can refer to all the things I need to do, so I can make sure I do them all at the right times. And for the first time, I've followed you have to follow like 4 or 5 different links to find all the information you need. And I finally found one here. And you're right, I do need to book a test when I get back. So, okay.
Yeah. It
Just the
delivers
day 2
quite
test, I
quickly.
think. I don't need to book 2. I don't need the day 8 test. I need the day 2 test.
Yeah, that's what we did. And we still did actually another test a few days after that one, because suddenly all the kids and the wife started feeling rough and like they were coughing everywhere. And I was just like, great. So we all went up, had another proper PCR test done, and that came back all negative. So it was like, must be like the coming from like air conditioned places all the time to like standard polluted UK air kind of thing. So
Oh, Devonair's pretty.
Devonair's actually quite nice.
Come on.
We had to go through London and get out of it.
I mean, if you lived in central London, I'll give you that. Yeah. Well, actually, London's not too bad, is it? I think, isn't it Manchester?
Yeah, they're all down here. That's the trouble.
yeah.
It's all quiet in London at the minute because everyone's bloody down in Devon, Cornwall, buying up houses.
Spreading COVID.
Yeah. And buying our house. So we're part of the problem. We've sold to people up country. Anyway, yeah.
I just bump.
Just bumbling along.
So, no one has got anything else to add in what we did over lockdown? Let's continue with what we've been playing. So, I'll basically start off with... Actually, no, I'm not going to start off with because I want to get into mine a little bit. So, Nick, let's start with you.
Cool. So I have been playing some Distilled, which was a game that was on Kickstarter last month, I think it was. It finished.
Yeah.
And this is a game about distilling spirits, like whiskey and rum and things. And we played a couple of games on Tabletopia with the designer, Dave Beck. Played it through with us, and we managed to get a prototype, an actual physical prototype as well, that our friends at In-Game UK managed to get hold of. And we played that, and it's a very, very fun game. It's it's competitive. You're trying to build the best distillery you can. You'll be buying in ingredients, mixing those ingredients up to try and create certain drinks. You have to research the recipes for these drinks, and you have to make sure you've got the right caskets to hold them in and the right bottles to bottle them in. And it's a very clever game. It's and a lot of fun. It doesn't take that long either. It was probably about 90 minutes to 2 hours total for four players.
Very good.
Yeah, really interesting game. So that was on just finished on Kickstarter last month. And it's even the prototype was an amazing production quality. It's really, really good. I mean, there's a lot of cards in the box, a lot of things you can do.
Well, I like a lot of alcohol, so I've played quite a few alcohol-related games. Some good, some bad. I'm yet to find one that can live up to viticulture. Have you played viticulture?
I haven't. I know lots about viticulture. I just never had the chance to play.
What?
I know.
It's one of those. Here's Devon Dice membership in a minute.
It's easily
Devon
remedied
Dice wants
now
to
that
supply a
it's
copy
on.
so I can play it.
It's easy to remedy now. It's on Board Game Arena at least.
It is on Board Game Arena, yeah.
Yeah, I'll get a game of it at some point. Yeah, but this one's it's really good. Especially Lewis. Yeah, if you're interested in alcoholic beverages.
Yeah.
They aimed to do it as close as possible to the actual method of distilling as possible. So you can buy all these extra things like special stills and all the likes.
Yeah.
Upgrading your distillery, aging the spirits to get extra flavour into it.
That sounds quite similar to a game I bought a game called Brew Crafters. Don't know if you ever played that.
Yeah.
That's about making beer.
I know that one.
I played that just 2 or 3 days ago.
So I mean, that is a good game. It suffers from the fact that there is one clear, infinitely better pathway than all the others, which is by the tap room or whatever it is, and then is it the tap room or it's called a tap room or like the bar or the brew bar or whatever it's called. You just need that. If you do that, you win the game. It's like, and if you try and do any of the other things,
I do have to pull you up on that one because my friend Jo did exactly that, and I beat her, even though she went to the brew pub and just churned through beer.
But how many times have you played it?
3 times.
How many times has she played it?
Once.
Yeah, that was her first time, was it?
Oh.
Was that her first time?
Because my wife has given a plastic bottle filled with treats to my dog, who's now chucking it about like.
I know I could sabotage that podcast.
Yeah, I mean, fine. But again, if you played anyone who played it more than once, you just wouldn't be able to beat them.
Well, I do have to. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. That's one of those games where I like the theme of it, but I just think it's a bit too crunchy for me. Because I've played it 3 times. The first time I played it, I enjoyed it. The second time, I was far too drunk, and it was 2-player. And I gave up and decided to sell it. And then a year later, I decided I shouldn't have sold it. Got another copy in a trade, and it's taken me 3 years to get it back to the table. And that time I was just like, I enjoy it, but I just don't think it's. I think it's just a bit too dry given the theme.
The theming is great. It's very, very Euro.
Yeah.
Which I actually quite like, but like I said, it just there are clear strategies that are infinitely better than the bits, and it just I've tried multiple times to make other strategies work, and you cannot do it in the kind of speed that the residents of brew pub will do it for you, especially if you get like the brew pub manager as well. That's like a person, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what she had. She had the brew pub and the brew pub manager, so
I don't know how she lost
point every single time.
Imagine that's literally impossible to lose, isn't it, when that happens?
Cannot compute. How did you?
I'm pretty sure the game just gives you the winning points of that. You don't even got to do anything.
Oh dear.
But theme-wise, it's great fun, and I've had friends play it and really enjoyed the theme. But again, for a similar sort of theme, I could play Viticulture, which is easily still, definitely my top 5 games ever. Not top 3.
I will play Viticulture at some point. I just need to once I get someone who's got a copy, I'll play it.
Nothing beats sitting down with some friends, a glass of wine, playing Viticulture.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Nick, I also see on your list you played the game that I mocked very much on one of the podcasts previously. Red Cathedral.
You did indeed, yeah. You mocked the artwork. It is very stylized artwork. Yeah. So Red Cathedral. I mean, I got this at Christmas as a Christmas present, and it is a very nicely compact game. There's no air in the box. It really is pack it down. It is a very small box, and it's kind of a midweight Euro with a very clever rondel mechanic.
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to stop you there for a second, Nick. I'm just going to stop you there. When one of the best things you can say about the game is it's very well compact and doesn't have much air in the box. You're not selling it to me highly.
Well, you can get. I will continue because then that'll loop round. So yeah, it's got a clever rondel mechanism for getting resources, and you're trying to build a cathedral in Russia. And mechanically, it works, and thematically, it's alright. And I like the artwork. I think it's great fun. Actual gameplay wise, I've only played it solo and 2-player, and it's not. I don't find it very interesting, the 2-player, and the solo is not that great. I found. I would like to try at higher player counts because I think the interaction would be more interesting, but it didn't deliver on it had so much buzz when it came out. A load of reviews really loved it, and I just don't get it. There's something I just don't get about it. I don't even say it's too dry because there is theme in there, but what you're doing mechanically is just not interesting. The puzzle is not interesting enough for me.
Wow.
Okay.
So Joel, you might have improved right there.
Okay.
Joel called it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in playing it. I've seen the Plymouth Club's got a copy in their bag, so maybe one time I might try and sit down and play it. But you've not really sold it to me now, so.
Yeah, the caveat is I haven't played it.
Is it designed as a 1-2 player game? Because if it's not, I mean, you
every game's got to be designed as a 1-player, 2-player game.
It is. I mean, it's designed as a 2 to 4 player, but I think the interactions work a lot better at high player counts because of the way the rondel works.
The problem you're saying though is if the puzzle itself isn't interesting, it's fundamentally flawed, isn't it? I mean,
it's
right there.
I just find it very standard. Recipe fulfillment on the cards. You gain resources, you build a bit of the cathedral. But as I say, I think the higher player counts there is going to be a lot more interaction, and I think the enjoyment is probably in that interaction, which is lacking from the lower player counts, which is a shame.
Fair enough.
And one last one, because you've got this on the list, and I'm going to talk about it as well. Is SuperSkill Pinball Arcade 4Arcade. 4K. Get that right.
Yeah. So this is a roll and write from Jeff Engelstein, where you are simulating a pinball game, actual pinball machine.
Yeah.
And the game comes with 4 different tables that you can play on. And I've played it solo and 2-player, and it works very, very well. Solo is not that interesting because it's just to beat your high score. But 2-player is a lot of fun. There are criticisms that it does run a bit long because you get 3 balls to play before you're out of the game. And that can take, if you're really concentrating, it could take 60 to 90 minutes to play. And that's too long for a roll and write. But even taking that into account, it's actually a lot of fun to puzzle it out. You roll the dice and you work out where your ball's going to go to and what bonuses you're going to trigger, whether you're going to bounce off the buffers and things and hit the paddles and get points. And it's a lot of fun. I play it with my daughter and she absolutely loves it. She's been playing it solo herself and enjoying it.
Yeah. See, I've got the printout version because they released one map as a printout. So I print it out because this is done last year before even I think the summertime last year they released this one because of lockdown and everything. And I printed it out. I laminated it all because I felt like it needed to be laminated. Played it with Boy. We had a good time. Then when we were doing one of our online gaming sessions, we played it 4-player or even 5-player, maybe. And there's elimination in it. So as Nick says, if you lose all 3 balls, you're out of the game. The others just keep playing, and you're kind of just sat there twiddling your thumbs, going, Let's get on with it.
Which if it was a 30-minute game,
isn't it? At the end of the day, it's a solo game. You roll the dice, and
there is very little interaction.
Yeah,
it's really you're chasing to try and beat the other player's scores.
With
the same dice values.
Joel, there was like a card game that you had of pinball as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, I've still got that. Pinball Showdown or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I don't think that was all right. But again, I think the fundamental problem is that pinball is not that fun a game as to start off with, isn't it?
And pinball is not a multiplayer game usually.
It's always been a bit dull. So no matter what pretty models you put in there, the game is the same.
Anyway,
but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's probably good for solo 2-player, but going higher than that, you got the elimination process in it. It's not fun after that. So and you're relying on the luck of the roll. You can negate it a bit, but it's not that much. And not fun when you're sat there waiting for the others, and they're catching your score up. So anyway, so Lewis, couple of They're
Kickstarters.
No, they're not actually. I was about to say both Lucky Duck games, but they're not.
No, they're both Kickstarters.
Both
the first
Kickstarters.
one is Lucky Duck Game, which is Kingdom Rush.
Yeah.
Which, based on how fun Jetpack Joyride was, because obviously Lucky Duck Games like to take their kind of IPs from kind of app games and then make them into board games. And given how good Jetpack Joyride was, I thought, oh well, I'll go all in for this Kingdom Rush. And long story short, I wish I hadn't.
I mean, I'm so glad I didn't back that.
It ticks all the right boxes. I mean, it's co-op, so I play a lot of co-op with my family, and that works quite well. I love the game Kingdom Rush. I played Mechs versus Minions. My favorite mission is the one where things are piling at you and you've got to try and defend the base. I thought, what could possibly go wrong? And the area of the game, again, it uses these, this triomino business, these Tetris-y type shapes, and you can build, and then you've got these kind of plates that move down a kind of a pathway, and each plate is made of it's a grid of squares. It must be, is it 8x8 or something like that? It might be a bit slightly less than that. And then you've got, in some of the squares, there are pictures of enemies, and to completely destroy a plate, you've got to cover up all of the enemies on that plate, which, using the towers that you've got that you have to place at the side, work together, because you can, trade towers and upgrade them. And all so far so good. The gameplay itself is absolutely fine. And then they somehow got it all wrong. I don't quite know what happened. Basically, you go through all these different tiles. Instead of just having to defeat all the waves of tiles, what you have to do is you have to defeat these particular portal tiles that come at the end of the round or towards the end of the pile. They get put in towards the end of these piles. And you could, when you defeat these tiles, you could only do it with sort of a level 3 tower. So it means that you have to kind of upgrade it and work together. Okay, that all sounds fine. And you can only do it with, and when you do that, you lose the tower. So it's gone. You can't use it again the second it hits the thing. And it only takes the first mission as an example, where literally, mathematically speaking, unless from word go, you knew you have to upgrade every tower you possibly can, basically ignore all the other plates because they're not going to kill you. It's almost mathematically impossible to win that game. And you don't find out till you've lost once and you go, but we had loads of level 3 towers, but it still wasn't enough. What happened there? And then it just turns out you just basically have to upgrade every tower. And so we spent, it wasn't that long. Maybe it was half an hour, 45 minutes to get through the round, which is a good thing. But it was basically all fluff and pointless and rubbish because it was all about these final portal tiles, which just came down to a kind of a bit more of a kind of just made it all very disappointing. And everyone who played it was like, oh, great. Now, it's supposed to get better through later missions, but I mean, I struggled to get anyone to be even remotely interested to play it again. By the time we'd done the first level twice, because the first time we hadn't realized you have to upgrade, and that's all you should do, and let other tiles that are coming through. And then we did it again and did it. Nobody really could be asked to play again because it was just a bit like, nah. The fun part was trying to match these kind of shapes and kind of take out these tiles. But then when you realize they're all pointless and you only got to worry about the last 3 or 2, it was just whatever. Did you go all in on it? You know me, mate. Of course I did. Balls deep.
Got some pretty miniatures.
And how much of the expansions have you even opened?
None. I haven't even got past the first mission. Maybe I got the second mission, maybe. I think I've played the second mission myself, which, to be honest, I looked on Board Game Geek and people were like, oh, no, just ignore the first mission. It's not particularly well put together. Keep going with it. I tried the second mission. It's pretty much
the same.
Similar. I didn't get too excited, but there's not much to get excited by there. Like, it's just a bit, yeah.
Yeah. I've seen so many of this Kickstarter being sold on the Facebook groups that it's just like, yeah, it's not a great sign of a good game when you see that many being sold. So
really good game.
And the trouble is, you go all deep in that, think, oh yeah, this expansion is going to do this and this, and it's going to be so good. And then you sit there and you're like, what was the point? Why do they keep doing this and
Yeah,
bloating it? But
just build one good game rather than
yeah,
one good game with a million expansions that were all terrible.
Yeah. Anyway, and the other one, Catapult.
And
Kingdoms,
the other one that I got was the Catapult Kingdoms,
which I've got as well.
Which you did get that one.
Yeah.
Have you played it yet?
Yes.
So Catapult Kingdoms is basically for anybody who was alive in the 80s like me and loves a bit of nostalgia, it's crossbows and catapults. So it's a remake of Crossbows and Catapults, which is basically it's a dexterity game where you have little blocks and you've got little catapults, like actual little model catapults that you fire, little discs it was back in the 80s, but now little rubber balls, which you use to destroy your opponent's castle and try and kill their little people. And it is great fun. My 6-year-old absolutely loves it. We have an absolute whale of a time. And for some reason, in this version, they, I don't know, add in Kickstarter. So the designer who credits himself is Christian Foch. I mean, I don't really quite get it. I mean, it's not your game. It's Crossbows and Catapults. I played it in the 80s. So I don't know how you can tell the designer. That's number one. Number two, the only thing I think they seem to have added in is some cards, which you can play that sometimes give you you can play them and they let you have 2 shots, or they let you move your opponent's man, or just really annoying things that aren't that exciting and just really bog the game down. Like the beauty and fun of the game, it's a bit like, I can remember once, so it's going to sound dull, but it's remarkably fun, sitting with my brother-in-law on a pebbly beach, and we must have spent half an hour taking it in turns to throw stones at a bigger stone to see who could hit it the most times. And that's remarkably fun. Remarkably fun. And it sounds boring, but that's the same kind of fun you get at Catapult Kingdoms, trying to aim your shots and take bits out and watch bits smash and killing stuff. When you bog it down with these annoying cards, we played it maybe twice with the cards, but it's just annoying. Like, it's like, oh no, now I'll play this card. So instead of just taking nice turns, shot after shot, oh you got it, oh no you didn't, oh nice one. It's, oh now I get to play this card that lets me do this, but it was just a random card that I drew that you didn't have, and now I get to steal your catapult. And it's just like, oh for goodness sake, what a waste of time.
Yeah, but you got all the same cards.
Sorry?
You got all the same cards.
Yeah, but not if you haven't picked yours up yet.
Well, you still got the same cards. You'll have it later, or if not before.
Yeah, I just find the cards dull, and they just bog it down. Like it's a fun, quick game, and then it just gets bogged down into, I don't know. I just find it really annoying. Did you like the cards? Did you?
I don't mind the cards. They add something to it. I thought it was all right.
I love the game. Although a couple of things I would say, they sent me like my crossbows. Neither of my crossbows work. Like they just don't. The ball gets stuck as it tries to come out the end.
Mine were fine. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's warped and misshapen, and that pieces are stuck together wrong. So I put in a ticket, which they got back to me like a month later and went, "Oh, we've run out of crossbows. Sorry."
That reminds me. Well, I got a character that's missing an arm, and I put that straight in as soon as I received it and noticed it, and I've still not received that. So yeah. I mean, there's some pretty poor manufacturing. But luckily, the fun part is the catapults, and the catapults work beautifully. The crossbows terrible. And did you get those rams as well? Yeah. So the rams are like a bit like kind of little pinball machines. They're terrible. They're so underpowered that they're basically useless. Yeah, I think we just mainly use a crossbow, the catapult. So
yeah, that's basically what we do as well.
Yeah, our crossbows do work, so we do use those as well.
Yeah, but I don't regret getting any of those expansions though, because each of those extra things came in the expansions. But each of the expansions had extra fun things. Like one of them had like a whole like bricks that could build a tower, which is cool. Another one had cool like bricks that make battlements, which is cool. Yeah, I would argue they put into 3 boxes what should be in 1 box, but other than that, I enjoyed it. And the cards are a waste of time. Don't know why I bother with them.
Cards are fine. But anyway.
But other than that, played it a lot, and I've had a great fun with it.
So yeah. And Sam, who's hopefully not fallen asleep.
No, nearly. But that was mainly from reading Spanish travel health guidance while I was in between. So yeah, well, during lockdown, I've not really played a great deal, but when we did start unlocking, I basically played mostly just stuff that I know I like, which basically meant I played Clank over and over and over and over and over again. But the one game I did buy before lockdown started, the last game I bought before lockdown started back in March last year, was a game called The 100 Torii, which is a Japanese themed game. And as everyone knows, Japanese themed games are right up my alley. I did get to play it pretty much as soon as I bought it, so about a week or so after I bought it. But then when lockdown finally finished and I had friends come over, got to play it again and remind myself it's actually quite a nice little game. It's basically a tile placement set collection game. Easy to say it's like Carcassonne. It's not like Carcassonne at all, but essentially you're collaboratively building a Japanese garden with tiles, and on those tiles are a variety of paths. So it could be like L shapes or straight-ons or crossroads or whatever. And on those tiles will also be one, maybe two different landmarks. And the idea is you want to try and build paths between the landmarks to collect tokens of that landmark. And then when you've got enough of them, you can cash them in for the like achievement tiles, essentially, which give you the victory points. There's a bunch of other little bits and pieces. So if you manage to create a path that goes through either a red or a Torii gate, red or blue Torii gates, and if you manage to create a path through reds, you get extra tokens of the landmark you've matched. So, for instance, if you've created a path between two fox statues, you'll get extra fox statues for each of the red Torii gates. And if you go through a blue Torii gate, then you get a token of your choice that doesn't match that particular. So you wouldn't get a fox token. You could get I don't know what else, a rock or whatever. And it's basically a kind of rush to see how many of these achievement things you can get, which basically means collect as many things as you can. And it sounds maybe a bit dull, but it's exactly the sort of game I love playing, because it's quite a nice chill out kind of game, typical Japanese theme, bit like Tokaido, that kind of stuff, where it's a bit of a chill out when you're playing. With a tiny bit of tension, because you're kind of like constantly trying to work out what the best mathematical result will be for you at any one given time. And you've got some extra characters that you can employ too. So as you're playing, you can sort of use one of, I think there's 5 different characters. There's like a gardener and a geisha and I can't remember who, a market dude. And they sort of give you extra powers, like you could put a tile on top of another tile, or you can discard your one of your tiles to draw 2 more tiles, so you have more choice, that kind of stuff. But it's just a really nice, pleasant game. And just like with Red Cathedral, I think it's pretty much the same box size as Red Cathedral, actually, Nick. It's quite a small little box, and it's packed full. So there's very little air in it, so it'll get the Nick seal of approval, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that is the number one thing I look for in a game.
Is a small box.
Yeah.
And no air.
It fits very nicely in my shelves, basically. Yeah.
Fantastic. And it's Vincent Dutrait artwork, which I love as well.
Yes. Yeah. The artwork is very, very pretty. Yeah. As it needs to be. It's going to be a Japanese themed game.
Yes.
Got to get pretty artwork. Yeah, it's a nice little game. Certainly not it's not an earth-shattering kind of quality, but it's just a very pleasant one. And I'm glad I'm glad it was the last game I played before lockdown, but I wasn't disappointed that it was as well, if that makes sense. So it won't stop me playing Clank all the time, though.
That was funny, because when we went to Meeple's Corner, as soon as they kind of lifted restrictions that 6 people can meet up again, we went to Meeple's Corner game night, and we're deciding what to play. And I said, well, I brought Clank along. It does up to 6 players now. And Sam's like, yep, I'm playing that.
Yeah,
just
no question.
I haven't played it since lockdown started. I'm playing that tonight. And so we played the new expansion to that, didn't we? And that was quite good fun.
Yeah.
Quite enjoyed
The
that.
Adventuring Party. Yeah, worked very well.
Yeah. So
not played it with 5 or 6 yet, but
no,
that's no bad thing, I don't think. Actually, I think I'd still prefer it 3 or 4. But the extra sort of player powers that you get and things are just quite nice and work quite well.
I still cannot see your guys' obsession with Clank. I mean, I like it. Don't get me wrong. I don't get how you love it so much.
That's fine. It's horses for courses, isn't it?
Yeah,
exactly.
It is. Anyway, so and then getting on to me. So couple of games I just want to highlight. Zombie Teens Evolution. Lewis, this could be a good game for you and your family to play. It's going to come up in the news later on anyway. But it's a cooperative legacy game, and I say legacy in the lightest terms possible. You do stick stickers on it, but it's a guided path evolution of the game, and it's actually good. It's the guiding path's actually really quite good, but we'll talk more about that probably in a minute. And then Dune Imperium. This is a game I wanted to buy and I also wanted to play. I played it and I'm glad I didn't buy it, not because it's bad in any way, but
take 12,000 years to play.
More or less.
In the film.
It takes a good evening to play a game. But me, Sam, and Nick, not this Nick, another Nick, played it at Meeple's Corner, and it did take the whole evening. But we all, I think me and Sam agreed that it was good fun. It didn't feel like it took all evening, and I enjoyed how the game was built. It's made by the same people that make Clank, but it's got worker placement and this deck building, two elements put together, and it was actually very well done. But the process you go through just takes a long time, and it's this quick race towards the first one to 10 points wins the game. And
I like those games.
Yeah, it was.
I always love about Catan. I love a race to number of points.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, at one point I was like, I think it's like round 8 and I'm in the lead quite a bit, and then towards the very end Nick just came in and stole the lead from me from out of nowhere, and it's like, how do you do that? He goes, well, I've played it before, it's his game, so that had it to it. But like as I was playing it, I could see like good routes of like how you could play and different things you can do, and I enjoyed it. But it's just one of those games that I could not see myself bringing to my own table with like Claire or other people I play with. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't put into it, but I would play it again if it came to the table. So that's quite good fun. And then the game I really want to talk about is really the latest buzz on the Board Game Geek at the minute, and that's Descent: Legends of the Dark. So we I think we definitely spoke about it in a previous podcast. I just can't remember whether we mocked it a bit.
I thought Descent had been around for quite a while.
It has. This is technically its 3rd edition, but I think Fantasy Flight are trying to treat it as its own entity now, because it's now gone from this like board game where you need like a DM kind of running the show and building the stage for you, and several people trying to work together to do the missions, where now an app runs the game, and you are
like they changed it wasn't House on the Haunted House on the Hill, was it? What did they
Mansions of Madness.
Mansions of Madness they changed to with for an app, didn't they?
So all those games, so Mansions of Madness, Lord of the Rings one they've got, I can't think it's not Lord of the Rings, I don't think. But anyway, those all run on this app system, and now this does. And the price is one topic we can get to. The box size is another topic. But the gameplay itself, now I've been playing this all weekend and this week actually to get enough plays in so I can talk about it. And it is amazing. I was like really like into it. The app, there is this kind of grey area of where does it stop being a board game and actually becomes a computer game, because like on the computer app you see the grid, it tells you what grids and boards to put out. You've got 3D furniture on it. The only thing you're not doing is moving the characters around. And you...
So you own it, Joel?
I do own it, yeah. For my comeuppance. So yeah, so you do a lot with the app. So if you want to fight a character, you have to like click on the character, who's fighting it, what weapon they're using, and possibly add any effects that enemy has on it. And then the computer does the calculation and tells you how much health is taken off of the enemy. They also then say how the enemy moves on its turn. Doesn't technically say where they go, but they go towards this character, and they will have to, if they're close enough, attack. If not, nothing happens. You can interact with the 3D furniture that's around on the board that you put out. There's chests, there's books, there's cauldrons, tables. You can click on it. It will tell you what's on the table. You go up to it if you're next to it, and like click on it. So like if you went to like even a tree, there's trees in it. So if you click on the tree, it will say, do you want to look for plants around it, pick fruit, climb the tree, or it might give you a fourth option. And then you choose what that character's going to do. So there's a bit of kind of role play aspect to it as well. That kind of choose your own adventure.
Sounds like a computer game with models. I agree.
Yeah, it is a very grey area of where this stops being a board game and actually becomes a computer.
It's about the price of a board game and a video game combined.
How much is it?
It was about 180 quid or something.
Well,
it's 120. You can get it on Board Game Geek Market for 120.
Jesus, how much is it new?
140-ish, I think.
100. What do you say, Joel?
100. I think Meeple's Corner's got about for 145.
Wow.
So
crazy expensive.
And it is a box when you first buy it with a lot of air in it, because there's two parts of this box. You've got them stacked on top of each other. So when you take the first one off, which has all the components inside, there's a box underneath that can store the 3D furniture overnight.
Once you made it.
Technically, you're buying a box almost full of air, which is probably not up Lewis's or up Nick's.
I didn't have a problem with
that's far too big.
Didn't like the air.
No air. You don't want air in boxes.
So I think
but at least they've thought about you not having to make and remake the 3D furniture.
Yes, that is a great thing. And there's actually plenty of room for when they definitely do release expansions for it, that if they do add more furniture in, there's more room that can put in it. And even there's another separate box where you stick all the cards and the miniatures and things like that. There's a little bit of room still left there. Probably not for more miniatures unless you take them out of the plastic molds that they come in. So the price point, is it
worth the price?
Yeah,
because it sounds like you're enjoying it a lot.
I am enjoying it, and this is the first time I've been able to bring a game like this to the table with Claire. Beforehand, even when she looked at it this time, she was like, "What the hell are you going to get me to play?" And then we started playing it, and she got right into it, and she was like, going through like what tactics we can employ, and well, why don't you go to this one? Say there's two prisoners, one on either side of this room. I went to one, and you've got to do like these skill checks. So you've got to roll like a 6 to be able to break these chains on the prisoner. But like you've got like might, insight, will, and something else, I can't remember it. And like my might was terrible, and so I couldn't break the chains. And she said, "Well, go to the other prisoner. Maybe that might be different." So I went to the other prisoner, which was like insight to break these chains, and I had a better insight than might. So I was like, I didn't actually think about doing that, but yeah. So she got right into it, absolutely loved it. And then I played a game on my own yesterday just to check out the solo round, because that's the great thing about it is you get 6 characters. You don't have to stick with the same characters. Each mission you can choose which characters you want to play for that mission. You can change the difficulty of it on each game. So that's a great thing about it. So I played solo with 2 characters, and she was a little bit upset that when I said, I played it solo. Oh, you played it without me? Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. But I just wanted to see what it was like solo. So she was like, oh, okay. And then I played with the boy, and he really got into it as well. So yeah, it's a great game. The price point, I still cry at thinking how much I spent on it. But then you can argue how much I spent on some Kickstarters. But
that's the thing, isn't it?
Then I think most of the money is going towards this app, because this app does a lot, and there's a lot of story behind it.
Wow.
And I think there's a lot of pathways this can go depending what you choose to do. So
I recently
really detailed as well, aren't they?
I recently tried to get into a wee bit of role playing game, kind of light, and started with the family. I thought I'd go for a bit of Mice and Mystics. Family.
Where do you get that from?
I got it from you, Joel.
You did. I painted Mice and Mystics.
It's a very nicely painted Mice and Mystics. Do like that a lot. Definitely add a lot with the kids. We're probably now. I mean, I think there's 13 missions. We're probably about mission 7 or 8, maybe something like that. And it reminded me why I didn't even like role-playing computer games. It's just so grindy and repetitive, and you get you can set up the most perfect situation, and then you just roll the wrong number or whatever, or roll the wrong symbol, and
a few moments later,
and do this. Oh, we'll roll a dice. No, you didn't do it. Like, why? Why didn't I do it? It was a good idea. Like, that's ridiculous. Stupid. But and it sounds. Why didn't I get rid of the prisoner?
So sorry, Lewis. Lost half of that because internet dropped out.
You went on a massive long rant.
Yeah,
just a rant about role-playing games in general. Repetitive.
So yeah, so the price, it's not for everyone, and I do hope they don't keep bringing out big, massive boxes as expansions. I hope it's just small boxes that adds a few little bits to it. But then also the great thing with it, because it is app-based, they can just add
do you know
new
Fantasy
stories
Flight?
onto it. Oh yeah, I do know Fantasy Flight, and I'm probably kidding myself. That's not going to happen, but
yeah, exactly.
You can see my unboxing I did of it. It's on the YouTube channel now. So if you want to see how much air there is inside this game, head on over there.
Young people friendly? It looks all quite scary to me.
Yes. As I said, my 10-year-old's played it, and he didn't have a problem. I don't. I'm trying to. I mean, it is kind of a bit creepy, a bit sinister, but. Yeah, I don't know. Probably 10 is minimum, maybe, on it.
Yeah. Is there a lot of reading involved?
Yes, on the app. There is some of it that's narrated, and then most of it, like when you're through the missions, is not narrated. So, but you could read that out. Like I was reading it out to the boy, and yeah, it was going quite well. I do have to say the app is terrible on an iPhone. The writing is so small. I couldn't read it. My eyesight's not that great. It's not perfect.
It's designed for a tablet.
They're just because you're old, Joel.
But I mean, I can still read quite small writing in some kind of ways. But this was so small, and because you're like kind of squint at an iPhone, it's just like I can't see what's going on. So a tablet might be better. But I'm playing it on my laptop, and it goes through Steam, and it works fine like that. So yeah, and you can save at any point, and come back to it. And there's lots of stuff that ties over from game to game. You collect loads of resources, so it's then going to this. Well, it's almost is video game-ish where you used to play the RPGs like oh my goodness, Oblivion. Things like that, where you're collecting loads of trinkets and things like that, and you can make up your weapons and armor and potions and things like that. So yeah, it verges onto that video game more than board game.
And most importantly, does the 3D furniture pack away and fit under your table so you can leave a game out halfway through?
Most of it. So that's the other thing. There's elevations in this game as well. So you actually have stands. You have like these columns where you can clip the tiles onto the columns, and you can go up to 3 different heights. And it all comes into the game. It's not just there as like superficial, like makes it look good. Elevations play a role in it. So those, if you've got elevations, no, it's not going to fit underneath the table. You will have to flatten those down. which I've actually done now. I'm like halfway through one game. I've just flattened it all down and then put the leaves back on my table, and it's just needs to prop it back up again when we go back to play. So, yeah.
There you go.
So, good game. Very, very good game. I'm really enjoying it. Price point, a bit eye-watering.
Slightly on the pricey side.
Yeah, very eye-watering, actually.
I
Could
think
be under the £100 mark.
You've almost sold it to me. You've almost sold it to me, but it's the kind of game I'd have to take a punt on. I'm not sure I'd want to take a punt for 150 quid.
Indeed.
Play
Joel's copy first.
Yeah,
He doesn't
exactly.
live near us. Huh? I'm not driving.
You have to make a special trip, won't you?
Well,
To be honest, the petrol will be cheaper than buying it.
Yeah, that's right.
I kind of wonder whether it's actually going to come down in price when they've got surplus stock, because Asmodee UK are really pushing the ball out on this. I think because Fantasy Flight's saying we need to sell these. We've made so many, we need to sell them. But it could all change with lack of resources around the world at the minute. But that's in the news.
I was going to say, mate, they could go up in price.
It could do. So let's get to the news, because we can come to all that. Asmodee are purchasing Board Game Arena. The last I heard.
They are indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this came up in the Meeple's Corner Discord channel, and I just misread the actual information. I just thought, oh, Board Game Arena's finally getting Pandemic, Catan, Ticket to Ride, all those kinds of things. No, it was actually Asmodee buying Board Game Arena. And I came in and said, oh, about time too. And I was like, no, Joe, you've missed the point. Oh, yeah. I was just like, because we chatted about Board Game Arena so much, saying why is Pandemic not on any of these sites? Where's Ticket to Ride on all these sites? And so and so. And I just saw Pandemic and things like that. And I was like, about time, Torii, they brought it out. Oh no, that's not the point. Asmodee, the conglomerate, is buying Board Game Arena, which could actually, in the end, up the price of your subscription. But by that time, I don't think I'll be playing much of Board Game Arena anyway. Now.
I don't see the point. If I've got a computer, I'm playing a computer game.
It's scratch an itch for the last
it's
2
been
years.
good for that 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed it. I've actually achieved my goal of getting to the alpha review stage on it. So now I see all the alpha games. Yeah. And Tapestry's now on there, which I'm really excited about and enjoying playing that. So
and haven't they managed, because of the deal with Asmodee, they've managed to add a lot more higher profile games recently.
Well, yeah, Pandemic is on there now.
Loads on. Is it? Pandemic's on there.
Yeah, it is on there now. There's a lot of games coming up. I mean, since the Pandemic's hit, not the game Pandemic, the actual Pandemic's hit, their catalogue of games is massively grown for some reason. I remember.
Dice Hospital.
Yeah, I remember when I first started on Board Game Arena, there was only not many games you could pick from. And when the Pandemic hit, there still wasn't many games to pick from. I was like, well, they haven't done a lot. But over the weeks, so many games. A new game will be hitting the beta or the new in stages each week, and it's just like, what? It's like they've suddenly just said, open up the floodgates, let's let them all out, kind of thing. And so yeah, they've done well for themselves. Being able to play some good games that I wouldn't necessarily be able to play because of the Pandemic. So yeah, it might not be a bad thing. Nothing might happen. They say nothing will happen, but this is Asmodee.
Indeed.
Spiel Jahres has been announced, and the winner has been announced since our time being away. And so some interesting nominations on the Spiel Jahres, and on the actual Spiel Jahres, the family one, the nominations were MicroMacro Crime City, The Adventures of Robin Hood, and Zombie Teenz Evolution. So they were the 3 nominees, and MicroMacro Crime City won. this year. Has any of you played it?
Oh, I have played the demo version that came out online, where you could look at like a smaller online map to play.
Yeah.
And it was right. It's like a little Where's Wally with a little storyline added.
Yeah.
For that one. I think there's more in the actual physical copy, because the demo version was a much smaller map and story.
Oh yeah,
But
I mean this map is probably bigger than my table, or probably the size of my table. It's quite big, and it's really funny. This map is like Google Maps, the Google World camera has gone over a city multiple times and caught people in different places all around the city, and you basically trying to solve crimes that have happened by you giving little bits of information. So it'd be like, this chap's lost his hat. He was last seen at the sausage shop, which is opposite the pub, which is opposite the park. Oh, the park's here. Here's the pub. Oh, there's the sausage shop. And there's matey without a hat on it, kind of thing. So you find it. Then you have to kind of trace it back to where he first started off. Yeah, find how he lost his hat and where it is now. And you can basically kind of trace it back. You get these little packs of cards in envelopes, which are the different missions, different crimes that you got to solve. So you open it up and you say, this is where he last was. Yep, found him. Right, next card. He was at this flower stand back here. Oh yeah, there he is over here. And you can keep tracing it back like that. Or you can go the hard route on this, and you just use the first card, and then you have to trace it back and try and solve it all from that one card. I haven't done that. But I think that would be a really good challenge.
Interesting idea. Yeah,
It sounds great fun.
I'm quite impressed that I think I like the fact that Spiel's judges actually awarded a novel idea.
Yeah.
This year.
Makes a change.
It's probably not a great game for when people have to be like social distancing at 2 meters or even 1 meter, because then you're all kind of crowding over the top of this map trying to find where the vigilante is, kind of thing, hiding on the rooftops.
Yeah.
And you're like so close that you're like, masks are not going to do any favors at this point, kind of thing. But it is a very good concept, very great cat time. And there was actually a point where I took it around to a friend's house and we just spent all afternoon trying to go through these missions and find out what's going on.
Cool.
So
that's good fun.
And I said Zombie Teens Evolution was on the list, and it is
all about.
So it is actually a very good family game. I think it could have been potentially a great contender to win if it wasn't for like this novel game that came out. But as I said, it's legacy. It's for kids. It's for families. It's easy. It's cooperative. It's really simple. You've got some great components in it. You open envelopes up, and you're on a track guidance of legacy. You don't make decisions of what route you go. You'll basically get to a point, you win so many games, right, open this envelope. You do so much, open this envelope. And you have to open the envelopes to get to the end of the game. So in the sense, it's legacy in the sense that you change components and you stick stuff down and you change it, but it's also not evolutionary because you don't evolve the game yourself. It's a guided path game. But
like a one-play campaign, more than
but it's so simple. It's so easy. It's got zombies in, which kids love. It's really light-hearted. It's family-friendly. There's nothing gross. It's actually quite tongue-in-cheek with some of the stuff. And I said, Lewis, this would probably fit your kids and you quite easily, long as you don't get too alpha gamer on them, like I do.
Good. Actually, it depends if they're being rubbish or not. Sometimes they're guiding. I'll take no weakness in the team. Have you played the Zombie Kids as well? Apparently, it's the first one.
Yeah, that's the first one to it. I hear it's not great, but you can actually combine these two together, and there's something online on the website that you can use to combine them both together. But I just jumped straight into this. So I took this actually on holiday, hoping that I could actually just take this on holiday, play in the evenings and have it done before we got home. But actually, we did less gaming than the last time we went out last year, which was a little bit depressing. But actually, it didn't bother. It was just too hot to do anything. We just sat there, kind of like sweltering in the heat. So can't think. It's too hot. So, but yeah, looking forward just to finishing it off. Really, myself. So yeah. Great choice. Kenneth Spiel Desires games. The nominations were Paleo, Lost Runes of Arnak, and Fantasy Realms. They all have their German other names, which I'm not going to try and pronounce, but that's it. I played Lost Runes of Arnak. I love it. It's a brilliant game. It's another worker placement deck builder game, but it's a great game. I thought it was going to win. But I've also seen how Paleo plays because I went to Monday Night Gaming Club. Paleo, sorry. I went to the Monday Night Gaming Club and they were sat around a table playing it as 4 people. So I sat there and watched them, and I can actually see why this won, because it is basically Stone Age but cooperative.
It's really clever co-op as well.
It is very clever.
Yep. You have to be able to communicate and share ideas, and you can't really alpha game it at all.
No.
You could do, but yeah,
you can't go lone wolf on it and try and win it on your own. You've got to get people to help,
because it would just everyone, you die so quickly if you did that.
Yeah. And it is just as simple trying to get enough resources together to make traps or fight off the wolves. And your side is you're trying to complete this cave painting, and once you've completed the cave painting, you've won. Mainly that comes from beating the wolves or whatever on the game. And then there's the other side of, if you get so many skulls placed down on the board, you lose because you've not fulfilled certain requirements. So yeah, it looks great fun. It looks very clever.
It's also modular as well, so you always choose 2 modules to play each game.
Okay.
And you can combine a number of different combinations of those. There's always a slightly different story, slightly different strategies.
I did see that there's story cards built in, that if you do a certain task, you get to take a card from a story pile. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. They're like extra actions that you get to do that are specific to that module.
Okay.
Thematically linked.
But
there's not really a story. But once you've seen it once, then you will know that if you play that module again, that's coming up.
Cool. So yeah, I not played Fantasy Realms. It looks actually quite boring and unsatisfying, what I've read about it. So, but it must be good for it being nominated. But hey.
Yeah, Fantasy Realms. Yeah, that's it's been out in English for quite a while, for a few years. It's just nominated because it had a German printing.
German, yeah. So yeah, that's it. I did actually think MicroMacro City would win. I just didn't think Paleo would win. I thought Lost Runes of Arnak had that, because it is actually a very good game, but maybe a bit too heavy for the grouping.
Yeah, the last few years it's been a case of it almost feels like they need another like a KennerSdJ Jahres. They keep nominating these crunch Euro, but they still go for a slightly more family option, even with the KennerSdJ lately, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we said that last year when it happened, and the winners got announced. It's like, really? Okay. So I can't even remember what they are now. But anyway, so yeah, that was the Spiel Desires. Good choices. UK Games Expo. I didn't go. I was on holiday. Lewis didn't go because he's boring, and Sam's probably too busy with work.
Well, I didn't go. You forgot to remind me it was on.
I was on holiday.
That's how I know it's on. You tell me we're going. Oh, okay.
That's why I didn't tell him. So Nick is the only one that actually went to it this year. How was it, Nick?
It was good. It was obviously a lot smaller than it would usually be. I would say it was probably about half the number of exhibitors. The trade hall, there was only one trade hall, and then there was the Hall 2 was half of that basically was just open gaming. Numbers wise, they were seeing probably about still more people than came in previous years before 2016. So there's still a decent number there. I think the final turnstile numbers were 11,000 unique and 18,000 total. So it was a lot of people. It was noticeably smaller with bigger companies. There were less big companies, and so it felt very open. They obviously had wider aisles as well for social distancing. So it never felt crowded, which was actually really nice. People didn't have to queue up very long, and it was that in that sense it was very good for smaller publishers and indie publishers because they got a lot of traffic past all of their stalls. You don't get sucked in straight away to Asmodee and Games Workshop and things. Asmodee were there. They had 3 entire areas of that one hall just running demos of their various games. Catan Studios was there showing off the new 3D Catan. Quite how they can have that many people enjoy Catan still after this length of time amazes me still, but people obviously enjoy it. And it was very busy all 3 days. It was very secure. Everyone had to have COVID passes or prove a negative test in the last 48 hours. And everyone had to wear masks. There was hand sanitizer everywhere. They were cleaning things all the time. So it was very safely done, which was really good. I don't personally know anyone who's come down with COVID after that from it. So that's good. Especially as I was running the stall for Mighty Booths, Mighty Boards. And so I saw a lot of people over that weekend. But yeah, it was very enjoyable. I wouldn't say there was any standout game or games that came out of it that were released there. It was more
one.
Obviously, except for R1. Well, technically that came out last year, but obviously in the middle of COVID, a lot of games flew under the radar last year, and I think a lot of them, the publishers were there trying to push those games that came out last year that people missed, and people actually got opportunity to play them. So yeah, I would say it was a success. And who knows? So far it's the only big con that's run so far this year. So see how else things go for the rest of the year.
It was just
still going to be on.
Yeah, it was still the they did still make the biggest U-turns ever, didn't they? More than our government has, probably. Because it was like 1 minute they were sending out information saying, oh yeah, we can't govern this, we're just going to let people do what they want, blah blah blah. Yeah. And then next minute, they're coming, oh no, right, so masks everywhere, sanitizer everywhere, you're going to have this pass. And it was like, wow.
That caused, that turnaround, just before they turned around, they had a lot of the big publishers drop out. Yeah. Like Games Workshop dropped out. Things like that. And then they changed back and said, actually, no, we're going to be nice and secure and do all these things after all these companies had dropped out. So I think they lost quite a lot from that.
It was a weird announcement of them coming out saying, we basically not going to hold any responsibility for it. You do what you like kind of thing. And then not expect a big backlash from that. That's the weirdest thing. It's like, who actually thought that was a great idea? And not expect like big companies like Board Games Games Workshop to say, we're not coming now. It's too risky. So, but they didn't actually claw back any of those publishers that.
Some did come back, I think, after the cancelling.
Did some?
But, I don't know if any of the big ones came back at that point.
So, yeah, I mean, I kind of wish I went in a way. I was kind of quite glad the holiday was booked at the same time because it gave me a good excuse not to be there. But it was also that I still, at that time, wasn't comfortable, like, thinking about the crowds and things like that. But what I hear, it wasn't that busy. It was quite...
It wasn't that busy at the booths doing the demos. If you went past the retailers, they were absolutely packed the whole time.
Really?
And people were not socially distancing next to those stalls. They were crammed in.
The retailers that all sell the same games at pretty much the same price.
Indeed. But out of the booths, they were all nicely distanced.
Nice. And you were exhibiting I've forgotten now.
So we were exhibiting Excavation Earth.
That's it.
And it's Kickstarter that just finished 2 days ago. The second expansion, and that went very well. We sold out all of our copies by middle of Saturday.
Yeah, definitely would have been along to have a play on that. So shame, yeah, but hey, can't win them all. So yeah, so it was pretty good. I don't know. I said to Lewis earlier on this, I'm not bothered about the UK Games Expo now. If anything, I'd probably rather spend my money and go to Spiel or Essen instead. Yeah. I mean, that's packed. That is crowded. But if you go there, you're guaranteed to see brand new games released and only released there for like, there'd be like a time period where you can't actually get them in the UK. So I feel like I would want to do that instead of going to UK Games Expo, unfortunately, because it's more or less the same price, maybe a little bit more because you've got more travel costs. But I mean, the hotel pricing around UK Games Expo is stupid. Absolutely.
It goes
ridiculous.
crazy that time. Yeah.
So I remember I could get a room for 20 quid when it first started. 20 quid a night. It's ridiculous now. Anyway, moving on.
But now, the thing is, I like to play games, and I like to play games with my friends and people that I know. And that's why I really enjoyed the group that we had in Ivy Bridge when there was that kind of like core 4 or 5. Yeah. That same people. You'd see those kind of people. I don't do so well in like massive crowds and like massive events like that. I just don't. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know. I just prefer having a small little core kind of group. I know some people love these big events, but I'm always kind of a bit on edge with them. Even before anything about COVID or anything like that. It's just I'm not a big kind of huge crowds kind of person.
No, I think the year before put me off a bit because I technically went on my own. Lewis is in New Zealand, and so I did tell him it was on, but he said he couldn't make it. And I went there, placed it on my own. I went and helped out on a stand, but then in my own time, I was kind of walking around, and then in the evenings, I was kind of just trying to like met people. Show you have a game? Yeah, let's find a table. We struggled to find like open gaming space to have a table, and you are at that time crammed in like sardines around those tables. So like kind of visualizing that now is like, oh, puts me on a little bit of edge. So yeah, maybe we'll see how it goes next year. But I think I'll probably skip it again next year. Maybe just do a day, travel up in the day, have a good day there, and then come back.
Yeah, you could do it in a day easily.
Yeah, pick Lewis up on the way through.
Still, yeah. Don't tell them it's on, just turn up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Knocking on the door.
Okay. It's indoors. All right. I won't bother. Because I just ordered Zombie Teenz Revolution.
You just ordered it, have you?
Oh, I thought I'd go for it. Why not?
Nice. Yeah, it's cheap. It's like 20 quid, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, 20 quid. Sweet. I was going to look for MicroMacro Crime City as well. I remember now.
Yeah. Hope you're getting it from Meeple's Corner.
They're sold out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went to Meeple's Corner first.
That's a long way.
Anyway, so moving on. UK Games Expo all done. Tasty Minstrel Games has declared virtual bankruptcy. So technically this ain't full-on bankruptcy. This is virtual bankruptcy. So they're out of pocket. They're in the red, but they're still continuing to sell stuff. It's a bit weird.
They're continuing a business. Yeah, they've got this. Apparently, it's kind of they sell not games. They sell things like dice and stuff. So but they're not going to be creating any new games.
No, they're going to stop production of games.
They've refunded the money for the last Kickstarters they did.
Yeah, which was Yamatai Deluxe. Is it Yamatai?
Could be. I have not looked that up.
No,
Yamatai. Yamatai's a Days of Wonder game.
Yes, it is. I can't think of it. I can see the box and everything, but I can't think of the name now. So yeah, basically they put this massive big Kickstarter out for this rebranding of a game.
Was it Yokohama?
Yokohama, that's it.
Yeah.
So they re-released this, all deluxe components, deluxe box, things like that. It was all being, I think they must have started production of it, but then something like what's happening around the whole world is this shipping chaos, where like a shipping container from China would cost you $3,000, maybe $5,000, depending how much you need to put in it. It's now costing 5-6 times that.
20,000.
20,000. Yeah, to ship. So you got to think how much of that is coming out of their money, out of their profit.
For a small publisher, that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you make profit on that.
Well, it depends how much money. I mean, if you're like Cool Mini or not, where they make millions on their Kickstarters, it's like a drop in the ocean to them, really. But like for Tasty Mutual Games, we probably, I don't know how well the Kickstarter did. Have you got the information there, Nick? Or
I will open the page just this minute.
Which was the Kickstarter?
It made just under $500,000.
Oh.
481,000.
Okay, so I wonder where all their money went for that. Then probably paying off.
And that was in 2017. That funded.
What was the Kickstarter?
That was Yokohama.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I missed that.
So yeah, they've stopped production of the games. They're basically now selling off their back catalogue, dice, and other paraphernalia.
Yeah. So they might come back. They might get someone to buy them out. You never know. It'd just be a shame if they disappeared because they had some great games.
Yeah, and they're not the only one. I've seen multiple companies now actually quite exhausted with the fact of what's going on with not only shipping, but the lack of resources around the world. And it's not just the board gaming industry. There is lots and lots of places. In the news recently, we're seeing like McDonald's running out of milkshakes, KFC running out of chicken,
Greg's running out of sausage rolls.
Nando's running out of chicken as well and having to shut stores and things like that.
GPs not being able to get enough blood test bottles.
Really?
Yeah, that's new stuff.
Yeah. Those are blood tests I can't do at the moment. There's a national shortage. And you can blame the pandemic, but a lot of it's actually Brexit as well.
Oh yeah.
I know. A huge proportion of it is truck availability, isn't it? It's like the shipping is not so much the expense of a container from China. I mean, that's obviously a huge part of our hobby issues.
Yeah.
But in terms of this country, it's because after Brexit happened and it was hard Brexit style, all the truck drivers left. It wasn't a protected industry, so they've all naffed off back to their home countries, and now we've got trucks sitting idle, no one to drive them. One of my friends is a truck driver, and he said it's you basically charge what you like as a driver at the moment, but you've got to be willing to do the long haul,
crazy hours,
Arctic runs, and that means you're basically running through the night, and no one wants to do it, understandably.
Yeah. And also that apparently shipping containers are being left at ports and not being taken back to China, so that's another shortage.
We've bought too much stuff in the West.
Yeah,
it's all come over this way, and we've got nothing to sell back to China.
Yeah, and
it used to be worth sending them back. The trouble is now it's not really worth sending them back at the moment because the cost of getting empty containers over there isn't necessarily worth it unless the Chinese producers are the ones or the shippers are paid to have them brought back. Yeah. And at the moment, they're charging a huge premium on their containers. So why would they want to make the supply better right now? I guess.
I've got some sofas on order from DFS, and apparently there's just containers and containers all stacked outside their depot, which they just haven't got the lorries to deliver and drivers to deliver the actual sofas. They can get the sofas in the country, they just can't get them out to the customers.
Wow.
Yeah, my neighbour works for a paddle company. It's got a red logo on it, and I was talking to him. I said, "Is the shipping crisis the same?" He says, "Yeah." It says this cost. You can't believe how much the cost has gone up to ship. But not only that, trying to find the resources for like the components going in their panel boards is the prices are just stupid now. He says, so then our boards are going to be like more than they are normally, which is still eye-watering amount for a paddle board. But so yeah, it's not just a board game, and it's all around the world. Everything is just slowing up. So yeah, and
on top of that, you got the chip shortage as well.
The what?
The chip shortage.
Chip shortage.
Oh, the chip shortage.
Computer
Yeah.
chips.
Right, that's supposed to be improving, but it'll take another 18 months for it to filter through.
Yeah.
I think that was the first thing to really start being affected, wasn't it? The computer chip.
Yeah.
So.
That shut down car manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the problem, wasn't it? That because at the start that was definitely pandemic related, because the pandemic they weren't sure how many orders they were going to get for things like cars and computers, and TVs and everything else. So they just all of the manufacturers just went, nope, we're not buying anything. And then they realised that actually they were going to be more busier than they thought they were going to be. So they all started putting in orders, and then
the chip manufacturers had already been selling to other people.
Yeah. And the savvy ones are gone, oh, well, we'll stockpile all the chips we need then, thanks very much. The trouble is, as well, there's only two companies, or two factories, in fact, where the microprocessors, or the semiconductors, I think, is part of it, that are needed for the microchips. There's like one factory that makes one component for all chips, pretty much. It's like they've bottlenecked the processing of that particular part, and that's the kind of pinch point now. So it's all a bit shocking. I think there's going to be a lot of changes in that industry, plus shipping, plus manufacturing in general. I think there's going to be a lot of decentralizing of manufacturing, but it's going to take that's years, isn't it? That's not going to be something that's going to.
Oh yeah, it's going to take ages.
You can't build a factory in a day.
Yeah.
No. But it's like this weird thing, isn't it? Like people, like you went into this pandemic and everyone thought, oh, spending's going to go down and things like that. I think spending's actually gone up. Because people have been buying computers and chips like that to do this Bitcoin mining, or just to play video games or things like that.
The issue with that, there was a video I watched on YouTube the other day about a Bitcoin mining. Everyone's got the idea that Bitcoin mines are like I'll have like a bank of a few computers in my office here doing a bit of Bitcoin mining. No, there's industrial sites in America that have just got tens of thousands of computers running just doing computational mining for Bitcoin. It's insane. But they're generating something like $2 million worth of transactions a day or something stupid. It's absolutely bonkers. But the power usage.
That's so much power usage, isn't it?
It's such a waste.
Yeah,
it is.
I just can't believe that. I mean, it's just utterly insane. But never mind. It's worth watching those videos just to give you an idea of the colossal kind of problem the world's got in terms of global warming. When you're like, oh, well, we'll do little things to kind of stop energy usage, and then you see these companies that can just splurge money on. I can't remember what the heat was. There's like the heat that these machines generate. I think it creates like an oven. So they have this kind of central corridor where it's like they blast air in to try and they suck all the heat out of the units and then blast it through the roof. But it basically gets up to like, I can't remember what it was. It was like 60 odd degrees centigrade or something.
That's the thing that's so annoying. It's all that wasted heat as well. Like most energy in the world is used to heat people's homes. And you're wasting it. You're fighting it, trying to blow it out, and it's like, for goodness' sake, what a double waste.
There is this. I think it's Swedish, and there's a company where it puts servers in people's homes that act like radiators. So it's linked to their company. And so all their information is being stored on the server. So that heat that's generated from that server is heating up someone's lounge, which is a very clever.
So that's really good, isn't it?
Free heat.
Free heat for those, kind of.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they're probably being paid a little bit of rent as well to have their server put in the house as well. So yeah, there's a great use of using it. I don't know how well it's taken off because that was a few years ago now, but so yeah. And then the last one, Broken Token. The company is very broken at this point at the minute.
Oh no.
Yes, so this is probably the saddest news that's come from it. is that the CEO or the owner of Broken Token, and Broken Token is a insert manufacturer. They a employee of his has come forward and basically accused him of sexual assault, harassment, God knows what else. He basically abused and really hurt this person that's come forward. And there'll be a link in the show notes if you want to go and read her story. She's put it up on the internet, so for you to read. But it's quite harrowing what she went through. And now, because of this has come out, nearly every company that has dealings or contracts with Broken Token has broken all ties and that to them, which is good, because he's still hanging in there. Probably because of the fact that he owns the company and no one wants to buy it from him. But yeah, they were very known for making these wooden inserts, and now they've got a very bad reputation. So I'll leave it for you to read if you want to about it. And yeah, not nice coming from this industry.
No,
but it still happens.
Indeed.
And it's not the first one. There was a designer that got outed for abusing his, at the time, partner, girlfriend. So yeah, he's all been named and everything like that. So sad to hear. Not a very nice one to end on. I'm trying to think of a happy story.
Yeah, thanks for that, Joel.
Yeah,
should have let
down now.
World shortage of stuff,
but
wasted resources.
Luckily, she's out of it.
World bucket.
Yeah, she's out of that now. She's free of him finally. But apparently, it's happening to other women.
Yeah, and it's bound to be happening in other companies as well, to some lesser extents, and women aren't being taught. I think the important thing is that someone, she's kind of put a name on this, so who, the world knows who she is, not anonymous, and she's nailed her colours to the mast a little bit on it in order to hopefully empower other women to speak up when it happens to them, which I think is important.
Indeed. The nicest thing I saw, Yellow, the Yellow board game, is it Yellow Games? I can't think now.
Yellow, yeah.
They actually came and say they're severing all ties with him, and all money, profits they made from his products, they're going to donate to a charity.
Yeah, to an abuse charity, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
really good.
So I thought that was great. That was amazing coming from them.
That's not an inconsiderable amount of money as well. So
indeed,
it's nice gesture.
Clarfy Fair Games that make
Cephalus
Frosthaven. Oh, Cephalus game. Yeah. They're making Frosthaven, and they actually had a insert within the Kickstarter. They're now having to look elsewhere for a new insert, so it's going to hold up the Kickstarter. But
I point them towards LAX RAX in the Netherlands, because that's where I got my Gloomhaven one from.
the LAX RAX ones are really nice. Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Sorry for the bad news. But we're not going to make it any better, because
what you can do is to say that it's not hidden and it is kind of being outed, and a few years ago this sort of story would have. Well, I don't want to look at Twitter to see what kind of stuff's happening on there, because that's just like the Wild West. But I think within the industry itself and within the likes of us, it is known as being it is unacceptable, isn't it? And it is a despicable thing that happened to anybody. And I think the important thing is that she and other women are feeling confident enough in the world that they can come out and blow the whistle essentially on it. And a few years ago that probably wouldn't have happened. Like in her story, she didn't feel like she could come out and say anything. And that's the important thing, that we live in a slightly better world.
A few moments later.
Anyway, we've got into totally
completely. It's almost like question time.
After hours discussion.
It is. Let's have another beer.
I'm fearing how much I can leave of that in. Rips apart America.
It's all perfectly nice conversation. It's just I think people are very bored by it. You'd probably want to cut it out. Tune in for that.
Anyway, so seems Nick's our newest co-host. He's brought along his own topic he wants to what own section he wants to add to the podcast. Things that really grinds his gears. So.
Oh yeah, so I've stolen this blatantly from State of Games podcast. They do this as well. And it's just a little section you can have a little moan about things, because we all love a nice moan. And so I want to talk about it's a point that Jason Perez, who hosts Shelf Stories, brought up on a video a week or so ago, which is about the increasing costs of games.
That's convenient for this podcast, Joel.
It's very convenient, yeah.
Yeah.
Games costing 180 quid, 200 quid, all in craziness on Kickstarter. But very specifically, I was going to talk about Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, which is the new card game version of Terraforming Mars, which came out, the Kickstarter fulfilled recently, and it's due out in retail internationally soon. And it is basically almost the same price as Terraforming Mars itself, the original board game, which itself is, I think, very overpriced for what components you get in it.
One thing to ask, isn't Terraforming Mars on its own just a card game, technically?
Yeah, it is indeed.
So it's a card game of a card game.
So Ares Expedition is meant to be a cut down version. It's a quicker version.
Right.
It runs about 90 minutes. But it still has over 200 unique cards in it. And it has a small map. It's in a smaller box. And the retail cost is roughly, I've looked up the prices, roughly £5 less than the full Terraforming Mars game at the moment. That might come down in price. But it's at the moment, it is so similar to Terraforming Mars, and you don't get the full Terraforming Mars experience. Why would you want to spend £5 less to get something that's considerably less materials? Although the main Terraforming Mars box is quite a lot of empty air. We should compress that down as well. That'd be good.
No one likes empty air.
They don't like empty air. And the other thing is I don't know at the moment. I asked Christoph this earlier from Meeple's Corner if the international retail release is going to be the same as the Kickstarter, which had nice dual layer boards and things, or if it's going to be the same as the version they got in the US for the Target exclusive, which was the extremely cheaper version with very thin player mats and less quality cardstock and things. And we don't really know which version it is at the moment. Certainly, if it's the lower quality one, there's no way I would pay that price for it.
Wow.
For what you get.
The answer
But yeah, Jen.
I none of them, because Terraforming Mars is a terrible game.
Oh, I love Terraforming Mars. It's great. It's a guilty pleasure.
It's interesting you brought up grind gears and then you've used that as an example, because my biggest gear that I love to grind about any board game, as anyone will have heard before listening to the podcast, is I just cannot stand that deck of cards that is just random, in which some are good and some are crap. And they can have identical cards, but one is just infinitely better than the other one. And the only reason that person got it over you was because they randomly picked it. Infuriating. Cannot play games like that. And
are you saying Terraforming Mars is on that vein?
Yes. That's stupid deck of cards where somebody has an identical card that does exactly the same thing, but theirs is it's cheaper. So it's just a better card. But I did the same thing they did to get it. Why have I got a shit one and they've got a good one? It makes no sense. It's stupid. It's crap design.
This is exactly what this section is going to be like. It's brilliant.
Yeah. But I don't mind it. I don't mind it where you have games where sometimes you have an option. You can go the slow route, or you've got the random deck of cards where essentially it's a cheaper route, or whatever, but or an easier, a quicker route, or a cheaper route, but you're taking the risk. Like, it's built into the game. Like, a random deck of cards can be used as like a variable generator, and I think that's exciting, and that's a challenge. You've made a choice to go and take that. But it's not how it works in Terraforming Mars. In Terraforming Mars, it's just, that is the game. That is the whole game. Let's all randomly draw from a deck of cards. It's worse than Monopoly. Which just let's all randomly roll some numbers.
Monopoly has no cards, so that's no randomness from cards, eh?
No randomness from dice. It's the same principle. The winner is the person who rolls.
Terraforming Mars is just a Monopoly's community chest and chance cards, but in
Exactly.
a space.
It's that level, isn't it? It's that level, isn't it? Oh, look, I got something really good. Oh, I got something really bad. We did the same thing. I know, it's good, isn't it? No, it's not good. It's infuriating.
Love it.
Joke.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not a fan of Terraforming Mars too, but it's you put the link into this video you talked about shelf stories, and it's actually quite interesting because he actually goes a lot into Descent, the new version of Descent, and like the cost and things like that. And I mean, it seems like board game companies are really pushing up the costs of buying a game. I mean, I remember when I came into the industry, it many years ago, and it'd be like 30 quid or 35 quid seemed like a reasonable price. 50 quid, it was like eye-watering. It's like, whew, I'm not paying that on it. I think even like Seven Wonders, that was like the new thing out when I started. And now I think that was around about the 45 pound mark. I remember paying.
It was, yeah.
And like I was like, oh, that's a lot of money for like just cards. But
I can remember getting first edition Eclipse, and that was 60 quid, and going, oh my god, how much for a game? But it is a big box.
They're getting bigger and bigger. That's the trouble. Is like a lot of my Kallax shelves are taken up by a single game now, and there's not multiple games in it. Yeah, I mean, like what we talked about earlier, Catapult Kingdoms, 3 boxes. That's nearly a Kallax. That is.
Yeah.
My Marvel United, that's a whole Kallax and more. I've got the promo box, not even up with the rest of it. So it's kind of getting a little bit ridiculous about like how much is going into these games, and this is kind of my point. Like Kickstarters are kind of great for getting your project out there, but now it's like unless there's 5 or 6 expansions being added onto it, people
with 15
complain.
minis per expansion.
Well, this is it. I mean,
it's
like
what people expect now.
Yeah, your Kingdom Rush is a good example of that. Unnecessary expansions added onto it. They should have just released a core game with maybe one expansion.
Made it work.
Promo and focused on that.
Focus on the gameplay.
Yeah. Get that going. Get that off the ground. Next year, come out with a new Kickstarter. Here's an expansion kind of thing to it. But no, it's like let's put all the expansions in now, and see what shit hits the fan and what sticks kind of thing. And none of it, by the scenes, it sticks. A lot of the time, I say, you look on Facebook and people get these big Kickstarter boxes in, they're instantly selling them again because they actually get like buyer's remorse or they're getting it in the net.
But again, I'm not even sure it is buyer's remorse. I think it is literally people are doing it like they are on eBay with Game Boy games. I don't think they have any interesting games. They just know if they buy on Kickstarter, all the people who missed it will pay them more than they bought it for, and they'll make their 20 or 50 quid profit straight away.
Well, they used to. I mean, actually, the Facebook groups are actually quite good at marshalling that now, because like someone puts up a Kickstarter game for like 50 quid more than you could have bought it on Kickstarter, and people all over them saying, well, the Kickstarter was only this price. Why are you selling it for more? Well, I'm the only one that's got it and selling it at the minute. So there's a premium.
Yeah, case in point, Ares Expedition on BGG Geek Market at the moment. You could buy a copy there's the copies there for $40. There's some there selling for over $100. Why would you spend that much on that game? It's insane.
Which game? Sorry, I missed that.
This is the Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition.
Oh, yeah. I mean, why would you pay
just for fielding Kickstarter?
Why did you pay 40 quid for it?
Yeah. You have to pay me 20 quid to play it again. What? Just draw random cards from a deck. Whoever gets the best card wins. That sounds like a really crap version of Snap, isn't it?
I am wondering, because now lately, when my Kickstarters I've been backing, and we'll get onto that, I'm now just kind of looking at it, like, I might just go for the standard pledge. Just get the core box.
Yeah.
Get it, see
Problem
what
is,
like.
I can't do it. I tried really hard, and I get cross that I've not got it, and I have to expand, and I all get it wrong.
Now, there might be a little bit of regret if it does actually pan out to be a great game, and then it's like, I didn't get the rest of it. But what if it doesn't? What if it just turns into like your Kingdom Rush? If you had just bought the core box of that, you'd probably be in a lot more like.
Yeah, I'd be like, fine. Well, I had a punt.
Yeah, I had a punt, and it's not great. I'll sell it off like this. People complain saying, "Oh, there's no expansions to it." It's like you don't need expansions. Just play the game.
Trust me, you don't want the expansions.
So
well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because if we could only go back, well, it was quite a few episodes, a few years ago now, and I did a whole big speech on how I think board games are actually cheap in terms of the value they give you. But I would say the way things have gone since then, particularly Kickstarters, but as you see now, even seeing with this new Descent coming, straight, for sale in shops, direct from the manufacturers, normal retail lines. I mean, games are getting crazy expensive, and the problem I've got is as my game collection has grown, I'm not playing the same game over and over again like I was before, and I'm just not getting the value out of it that made that argument at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Have you sold any games yet?
No.
It's amazing that you've not done that.
Before I left New Zealand, because I couldn't fit them in my box, I couldn't fit them in my case, I sold a couple, but I would have kept them because they were actually quite good.
It's amazing you've been able to do that. I'm actually going to have a massive big sell and just stick loads of stuff up for cheap because, one, I've got no room left, and two, the house we'll move into is bigger, but I ain't got the same storage space, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I won't have my man shed that I've got at the minute that I'm more recording in for one until I build another one. But hey, that's a different story. So yeah, I'm going to have a massive
Well, let me have a look at the list of stuff for you before you pass it on to the general public.
Yeah, and you'll knock me down in price.
I might have missed it. Did we mention about the KinderSdJ this Jahres, another domino game by Blue Orange One?
No, we didn't mention Kinder.
We didn't mention.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, Dragomino.
It's like what? Sorry, you've already done King Domino, you've done Queen Domino, and now you've given it to Dragomino. Like the same games, mate. Like what are you doing?
Bruno Catala's making it a nice little packet out of it.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong; they're good games. I fully supported. I believe
King Domino is great. Yeah.
I didn't even argue that much with Queen Domino.
Hey, regional champion, you're talking to here.
Oh yeah.
Got a trophy went in there with the air of I don't want to play this game to coming out as a full-on winner. I didn't have a choice. It was what the tiles they left me with, and I won the game like that. I had no choice in my tiles, and I won. So what does it say about the game? It's a load of crap. That's what it is. Anyway.
Well, told you it's a kids' game. They're good games, but I just don't know why three of them need to win. They're the same game over and over again with a slightly different variation. It's not three different games.
His Patchwork and Cottage Garden and Spring Meadow, whatever. Basically all the same game.
Oh, all of them. Every game he brings out like that.
Yeah. Bruno loves his repeating stuff, doesn't he? I mean, again, some of them are really good games. Patchwork is a brilliant game.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, brilliant. One of the best two-player games you can get. But, know when you're done, mate. Don't keep doing the same thing. Like, or at least have the decency to call it an expansion.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I thought we missed that, so you can just copy and paste that bit.
We did actually miss it up because I had no interest in going through it, but
I wanted to make the comment about how another Omino game won. I mean, for goodness sake, we've had them all.
There's actually four of them.
Is there? What's the other one?
There's Dual Omino or something like that.
Oh, Dual Omino, the roll and write version.
Yeah.
Oh, roller, is it?
Yeah, roller right. Yeah, King Domino dual game.
The problem with that one, it couldn't win because it was too different.
Didn't meet their criteria.
Yeah. I just don't know why you do it. You've picked three of the same game. I'm sure they're all, even if you think they're all great games, they're the same game.
I would like to know whether the Spiel actually play it with families. and not just with a bunch of old gits that sit around a table smoking
I'd
pipes.
say they do because they make good choices. I'm always very impressed with all of the. I mean, I sometimes disagree with who wins, but the nominations.
The nominations are always good.
Every year, I agree. There's always some great games in there.
Yep.
I don't think you could do those family games well without playing them with families. You just wouldn't be able to get that in just being old farts playing yourselves.
So I'm trying to find the previous winners, but it's a little harder than I first thought to find previous winners. Anyway,
it's somewhere on the Spiel site.
It's on there. I'm trying to look, but I keep getting this year's nominations.
What do you want?
Drop down bar. That'd do. 2020.
Yeah.
I think there was a little bit of contentiousness with last year's. Yes, Pictures. Pictures won.
Pictures. Over
Oh,
My
yeah.
City and over Luna.
Over My City. Excellent game. Another game you should play with your family, Lewis.
You said about that. Yeah.
Your kids might learn some swear words from it, from probably your wife's mouth, but because mine certainly did. So yeah, I can't believe Pictures, which is actually kind of another. It's just a picture building.
That's
game.
kind of disappeared. That game, isn't it?
Yeah, wonder where that's gone.
I haven't seen anything about it at all.
Great choice there they made. Making loads of royalties off of that.
Ignoring the winners, but paying attention to all the nominees is the thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Even Nova Luna is still around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I just can't help looking at that box and thinking, oh, they've made a Zool.
Anyway, we've really gone off. That's actually quite a big rant.
Have you played Colour Brain? I've played Colour Brain. That's quite funny.
Oh no, I haven't.
It's really quite interesting. It's really hard.
Draftosaurus is good.
I haven't played Draftosaurus.
That's on BGA.
Of course you love it.
It's BGA, yeah.
Is it a deck building game?
Nope.
Drafting game.
It's literally
It's a
drafting these little wooden dinosaurs and putting them into pens and scoring points on how well you fill up your pens. It's really simple, really fun.
That's fun.
And Little Town, a great little worker placement game.
Mm-hmm.
Check my review out on the YouTube channel.
Boom.
Anyway. So let's moving on. So get to our last section, Kickstarter. So yeah, my Kickstarter habit's still not kind of waned off. Saying that I haven't backed Nick's latest Kickstarter.
Oh, what are you talking about, Joel?
Sorry, Nick.
All right, it's open for late pledges. It'll be fine.
Do you know, it's one of those, I really need to play it, but then it's also, I will play it if someone else had it, so I'm relying on someone else having it, like Nick, who actually helped.
Yeah, I've got it. Come around.
What's the name of your latest one, Nick?
It's Excavation Earth.
Excavation Earth.
Yeah.
Expansion.
Which technically Nick's not the main designer of it. He's part development, aren't you?
Part development, part solo mode.
Yeah. So it's not full credit to Nick. We did talk about it on one of the last podcasts last year when it was out. Had a good laugh.
Yes, I do remember that.
And it won one of the UKGE awards as well.
It did.
Excellent.
So yeah, you can go there because they've got an expansion out for it now.
Yep.
And primarily, it's basically Earth is the human race is long gone on Earth, and aliens are like traveling to Earth to see what kind of artifacts and relics they can find from it, isn't it?
Yes, I remember this.
Yep, and they're selling to the highest bidders, and you're manipulating the market.
Mm-hmm.
Multi-use cards.
And there's a new expansion out for it. That's why they had a new Kickstarter. It belongs in a museum. It's a little pun on the...
What, the game or?
Not the game. The expansion is it belongs in a museum.
Oh, sorry, I was speaking.
Yeah, I knew that. It went straight over my head. So yeah, late pledge on that if you want to go back and check it out. Horrible Guild, which was Horrible Games, they changed the Horrible Guild, is now got a new Kickstarter coming out based on their what's it? Dungeon Fighter series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not part of the Dungeon Fight board game. It's now their role-playing game where you use the dungeon fighting target to roll to see how well you do on your ventures. So if you get a skill check, you basically have to kind of throw the dice on the target and hope you score really well.
I prefer that. You know,
That's brilliant. You don't roll it; you throw the dice.
That's it.
It's got to bounce on the table once and then land on the target.
What's it called?
It's called One More Quest. So
See, I prefer that. Even if it's still basically, sometimes, you know, it's like if I play Catacombs, where that isn't an RPG, but it's a dexterity flicking RPG. And even though my flicking is so bad, it's basically random, as random as dice as to whether I'm going to hit something. It still feels like it was my fault. I prefer that.
So yeah, so it is basically taken from the board game. If you haven't played the board game, you basically got this target on the table. You got this very small map of a dungeon, and you're working your way through rooms, and you'll come across a monster, and you have to get this dice on the target. The further into the center, the better, because you get more hit points on it. And there's like holes in it and things like that where it could like not score you. But then they make it, and that's difficult in itself. Just a normal bounce on the table onto target is difficult itself. But then they add in these kind of penalties there where you have to headbutt the dice or like off your forehead onto the table or behind your back. And it just makes it even harder. So actually playing this as a role-playing game really makes it daunting prospect. I was like, I don't want to play that. I'm not going to do that well. So but yeah, people loved the board game. I actually did have the board game and enjoyed it, but it was one of those that had to go because it wasn't getting to the table enough. So yeah, One More Quest, Horrible Guild, coming out I think end of this year, I believe. They haven't given a set date, but it will be out end of this year. So on the Kickstarter.
Cool.
Did any of you used to play the football management games on like PC back in the day?
I did.
I didn't.
Champman, that's it. I used to play that like hours and hours. Well, Portal Games is bringing out their own board game version of that now, so you can relive those times in your 90s, well, in the 90s, of trying to get your favourite football team to the top of the league and selling off your best players for huge amounts of money. So 11 it's called. Coming on Gamefound. So Gamefound is the new Kickstarter, and they are pushing a lot of board games now. And so 11 is basically, as I just said, a football management game in a box. You can play it. I think it's mainly solo, so you play it and you play through like many seasons, and it's got this kind of footballers' stories driven thing going on in the background. Or you can play it up to 4 players where you do like a micro season where you're playing as a teams against each other, I believe. So it looks quite good, looks quite fun, but it's like one of those, I could play this or I could just play the video game on the PC.
Exactly. Why do you not play the game?
And have actually real names of footballers and teams and things like that, because you know they're not going to brought the rights to it. So it's one of those, you're going to be sat there playing it and there's going to be, I actually don't know many footballers. Mary Payne will be up front for you kind of thing. And it's just like, yeah, you know that's Harry Kane, but they can't use his real name. So
it's like the Pro Evolution Soccer versus FIFA.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But you could go in and edit the names, couldn't you?
Yeah.
If you wanted to spend the time. I'd be scribbling over all the cards saying, no, this is Harry Kane. What are you on about? So it's a legacy game for me.
Riggs used to play for Man United, wasn't there?
So yeah, that's coming out if you're interested in that type of game. I'm kind of umming and ahhing over it at the minute. Ooh, what? Okay.
Carry on.
Flamecraft is this brand new company. I can't think of their name now. Cardboard Alchemy. Brand new game they brought out. It's basically this worker placement game with dragons, and you're trying to make this artisan kind of bread with these dragons. It's really weird concept, but
It's a weird game.
Such an odd concept.
It is. It's quite cutesy.
It's very cutesy artwork.
It's very good. And this artist, I was trying to find out who the artist was, but she's famous for doing this art. So this is kind of like someone who does this kind of Saturday mornings cartoon type art. And she's actually quite famous for doing this. So they've put a lot of money into the artist. It's getting some big buzz. It's doing very well. It's done $1 million. It's done over $1 million on Kickstarter, US dollars.
Wow.
So, and yeah, so you can buy a standard copy for $39, which is not a bad price, or you can buy the deluxe version at $80, so double the price, and you get plastic miniature dragons. What else are you getting? Upgraded coins, upgraded components, game trays, and things like that. So you get, it's not bad, but is it worth extra 40 quid for all that? Of course it is. Lewis is sold.
Almost certainly not, but wasn't going to get it.
So yeah, it's interesting. I watched the gameplay. I quite liked what I saw, but it's just one of those. It's like, I don't think I need it.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate, but take a look if you're interested.
The problem with Kickstarter these days is you can go down and you can almost get like 90% all the way down the page. You should have no idea even like the style of game.
Yeah.
Just look at all these like neat dragon plushies and plastic dragon models and lovely coins you can get. Like, sorry, I don't even know what style of game this is. What do I have to do? I don't get it. There's always like a link to the rule book, but that's it. They don't tell you how to play.
No, that is, they do hide all that. They want to get the best stuff up in front of you, don't they? Like any shop or any salesman, here's the best stuff. Then I'm just gonna discreetly hide the stuff that you don't really need to worry about behind it. But look at all this great stuff you can get on the outside.
And also, everyone always needs a Rado review. It's like, but everyone pays Rado to say really nice things about their games, and yet everyone still waits for the Rado review.
I never watch his final thoughts. I only watch his gameplays because that gives me the better idea of the game myself.
Yeah.
Because as you said, you always notice, it's this great game, best part, we enjoyed it, blah blah blah.
You pay me 10 grand a game, and I'll say how great it is. You pay me 10 grand, I'll even tell you Terraforming Mars is a good game.
You would not. You'll take that money and run.
I would. I don't give a shit.
So yeah, I'll look up the artist and add that in probably. Just to
Sandra Tang, the artist.
Oh, Sandra Tang, yeah.
She's done a lot of artwork.
Has she got lots of board games, has she?
Android Netrunner, the original Descent, Journeys in the Dark.
Oh, really?
Legacy of Dragonholt. Lord of the Rings card game. Yeah.
Wow.
Fairly prolific.
Okay. I thought this was her first time. The way they were selling it, they were like, "This is we've used this artist because she's notorious for doing this type of art." I was like, "Oh, okay." That's the other thing with Descent. I still don't like the artwork they've used on the cards.
I saw that. It is weird. It doesn't really fit the theme, does it?
No.
It's slightly odd.
I mean, it's different, but
yeah.
I don't know. I'm still not used to it. So the last Kickstarter I was going to bring is not technically a board game, but it's board game related, and it's to do with your Kallax shelves if you've got them. So LAX RAX.
LAX RAX.
LAX RAX. The board game shelf insert for your IKEA Kallaxes. So this is basically dividers that you can clip onto your Kallaxes to help divide your games up, and they don't sit on each other. And
But
you
it's
can
already
slide them.
Very nice.
It's already small enough, isn't it? Kallax shelving.
You can fit four games, 4 big games.
Well, 2 now in these days.
When I
isn't it,
say
really?
big, yeah. four ticket to rides on a.
Yeah. So the basic idea is this kind of
Sounds
rod system where you can stick it to the side of your Kallaxes and make separate spaces for each game to slide in and out without disturbing the ones below and above.
Yeah, I mean, my hand does that.
Yeah.
It does it for free. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want the.
Just look at some of I mean, it's full of glyphs that are.
It looks very neat, but I stack all my games vertically. So
Yeah, so do I.
So
Yeah.
And I can see they're trying to sell it as, you're not going to get all your bits fall down when you're stacking vertically, and it's easy to get out. But if you've got 4 games, it's not hard to get one out from the bottom. Is it?
Yeah, most of mine are stacked vertically, but I have started stacking some flat because of.
This is not something I need in my life.
You sure?
This here is is the equivalent of an expansion of a Kingdom Rush.
And you've got plenty of boxes for it to stack on these now.
And can you rearrange the dividers after you put them in?
Yeah.
Or do you always have to have those games then in there at that point?
No. So there's different height
movable.
different height settings on the tabs that you put in. But then there's also the sticky pads are removable, so you can move them up and down. So they've thought of all that in that kind of sense. So.
And how much is that?
I just don't know. I don't know why this needs to exist.
You could say that about 90% of stuff that we have in the UK.
I mean, I agree with you there, but I don't I'm looking at the Kallax shelving is already divided up. That's the point of Kallax shelving. That's why people got Kallax shelving. It's not like an old bookshelf. It's already divided up for you. What do you?
Yeah, but how anal some people can be about their games is that they've got to lie flat. They've got to not be sat on top of it because you don't. Yeah, you don't want them.
Got any shelfware?
If there's too much weight on top of the bottom game, it's going to crease the lid.
True. Also, Nick, what you haven't considered, they put a GIF in for you about why your vertical stacking isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, lid drift.
Drift.
That's going to give you nightmares tonight, and you're going to sleep. You're going to wake up.
That's what you shove in a smaller game in between to keep them closed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Your missus is going to wake up in the middle of the night, and you're going to be gone, and she's going to find you downstairs rearranging your games.
Also, why have they got complete idiots who apparently only have one hand taking the games out from the horizontal stacks?
He's doing it with 2 hands and he still can't do it.
Yeah, what is he doing? Why are you doing that, mate? Just put your hand up and push the games back. What? You don't need 2 hands on that one game. Oh, for goodness sake. Look, you're an idiot. But you're right, now it's a problem. I'm definitely going to give you... How much do you want? Let me look.
$30 is the lowest to get into it.
I got $55. Behave yourself. No, this is not something that needs to exist. This is something that you need to not buy this and go and buy yourself another new game instead.
Yeah, I can't see Terraforming Mars on those shelves. I have to get
Sorry?
No Terraforming Mars on those shelves.
Well, actually, yeah, now I've seen that. Maybe they do know what they're talking about.
Hold on a minute, I just got to cancel my pledge here because it's actually doing very well. I mean, they needed 11,000, just over 11,000 to fund, and they've got 108,000. So there's a few people that want this.
Do you know what? I'm not going to knock anybody who's doing well in the world. You go have a good time. But I mean, this is just what Who's buying this? Why are you buying this?
I mean, technically, they've got an add-on here where you can have drawers that you can put the little games into, and it's like, why? I've literally brought drawers. I've got drawers on my Kallax where all my little games are stored. Admittedly, I can't see them.
Have you seen what the thing is? The thing is a couple of dowels with 3D printed L-shaped thing with the 3M sticker on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make that for £5.
Yeah, but how many are you going to get for that £5?
Well, I can make it for a tenner. I can make a set that's as many as that they're selling.
In this day and age, with the resources so scarce.
Resources are scarce. Well, these days you can make your filament for your 3D printer, so you'll be all right.
Anyway, I'm going to give it a punt. I'm going to see what they're like.
Nice.
You're not.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, well, each their own. To each their own.
Like, the weirdest thing they've got on this is not the drawers themselves, but they got these plaid stickers, erasable plaid stickers, so you can get these like white board stickers that you can put on your games, and you can write on them how many times you've played them.
What?
Okay.
Silence says it all, doesn't it? So yeah, if you go further down,
an app that tells me that.
Dry erase play count trackers. So basically, you stick these on your board games, and then you write on how many times you've played it.
All right.
Personally, I don't actually need that because my memory's not
I've got a
that
nice
bad.
app that does that.
Yeah, well, my memory's not that bad, and I can actually look at my shelves and say, I played that 3 times.
But also, I've got an app. I've got an app if I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't played that game at all. Got
Oh wait, have you looked down here?
Yeah.
You got to be careful. If your games actually weigh anything, you've got to get like the super heavy duty ones that cost 10 times more.
So Descent, you have to. There's only one you can get, one down.
Descent only fits into one Kallax section.
You can't fit anything else in there. But you still need one of those.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So yeah.
Good luck to them, I say. Good luck to them. They won't be having my custom, but if they're doing well, fair play to them.
Absolutely.
Have fun.
Have you backed anything recently on Kickstarter, Lewis?
That is a very good question, Joel. Have I backed anything? My memory's great. I can't remember. What have I backed? Let me have a look at my list.
Because you're not on Facebook, I can't follow you to see what you're backing.
Oh yeah. So what have I got here? I backed that Clash of Deck. That was free. I backed the Cartographer's Heroes 3 map pack.
Okay.
I foolishly backed the 7th Citadel.
You haven't even played the first one, have you?
Nope. Well, no, I pretty much finished the first mission of the first one actually now. But that's pretty much the whole game, to be honest. I went for the Monumental expansion because I love an expansion when I don't even play the first game that much. Yep, those are my sorts of backings. Then I got Catapult Kingdoms. Got my Megan gaming table.
I think I'm 14 pledges outstanding.
14 outstanding.
Wow.
Oh, Return to Dark Tower still hasn't delivered.
Oh yeah, I was about to ask you about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. We got our tables, didn't we?
Sorry?
We got our tables. Yours is broken, a bit like the Catapult Kingdoms as well.
No, they've replaced the table now.
Oh, is it all fixed? Is it?
All absolutely.
He was
fine.
so upset. It was so twisted.
It was, but it's fixed now. It still looks beautiful. I love it.
Nice. I'm jealous.
It gets used twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
Sometimes there's just a game on it, and we can't sit anywhere to eat dinner. Mrs. like, this ain't happening all the time. I said, I know. Descent takes up a lot of space. You can't hide it under the leaves. Yeah.
Oh, I
so,
backed that Spintronics as well.
Oh yeah.
That's not really a board game.
So I'm still waiting for Dead Reckoning.
Overpriced.
I got a Western Legends expansion I'm waiting on. Capto Sumo. It's a kind of dexterity pushing game. That was big.
Cool.
Oh yes, I remember.
Reload is basically Fortnite in a board game. I thought the boy would like to play that. Eternal Palace from Alley Cat Games.
Yep, I'll back that one as well.
Clash of Deck. Marvel United X-Men. I've spent so much money on that.
You love Marvel United.
I just love Marvel, and the miniatures are so great that I probably will paint sometime in the future. Canvas, the expansion. Escape Advent Calendar. That looks fun.
Oh yeah, I thought that.
But I've seen Exit now got an
fun?
Advent Calendar out as well.
Yeah.
I did not see these things. I need them now.
I bought 2 Escape Advent Calendars. So,
I'll have your spare one.
they're both different. I don't know. I'll think about it. You might be able to get on to back of my pledge. Witcher, the old world board game. Now this is one where I only backed the standard box so far. I've not backed any expansions or deluxe. I'm kind of just like, I don't know about this, but
you're going vanilla.
Spintronics, like you said. Soul Raiders.
You booked Spintronics. You
yeah, I've only bought one. Again, that's another one where I've only just bought one. I haven't gone the full hog on it.
Yeah.
Soul Raiders is another one I backed, and that's because I had a prototype. And that's basically Seventh Continent, but good.
Seventh Continent is good, I think. I can't remember now.
And that's really, I mean, I've got loads I'm backing at $1, like that Flame Calf. Aya, the Paths We Dare to Tread. I don't know about that. I need to stop that. Shit, I didn't realise that one's still going. When's that end? Is that gone? I don't know. Anyway.
I've really, really cooled on Kickstarter in general. I've just had so many crap games come out of it that were really expensive. And the problem is I cannot make myself have just go for the base model. I can't do it, so I just have to not look and not know that things exist, and then not back anything. That's
what I'm trying to do here.
That
is
works.
To go for the base model and see.
I'm going to stick because I think now I'm just going to stick to getting some. So I want to get Wingspan that I don't own. There's a lot of established good games that I know are really good that I don't own, and I'm wasting money on.
Wait a minute.
£100 bloody Kickstarters of games that are bloody terrible.
So this is where you contradict yourself, because you said Mars, Terraforming Mars is because it's got this deck of cards where it's random what you get out of it. Wingspan's exactly the same thing.
But I'm pretty sure Wingspan has a market, doesn't it? So it offsets that.
It does. You've got a choice of 3.
Different.
About 3, yeah.
Yeah, but you also
if Matey gets there before you
can also clear that market.
Yep.
And that's deliberate. Then you're playing to a market, and you're like, do I take this one? The point is, you know what you're getting before you get it. That's my point. You're making the choice, and you can go, do I go for this crappy one now, and the risk there might be a better one coming later because I need it now, or do I try and do something else and hope somebody else will clear the market or refresh things for me? That's part of the game. That's fun. I don't mind that.
That's what the draft is for, really, in Terraforming Mars. But then that slows down the game considerably.
Oh, I don't think I played. When I played, I don't think I played the draft. I think you just drew from a deck, and it just absolutely made
the draft is a lot better, but it does slow it down.
Well, it couldn't be worse.
No, I always play. I always play with the draft. Because of that reason, you can get random stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like it would. But again, that sounds like it's a fix for what was an originally broken game.
It's in the rulebook, the draft.
Yeah, well, they probably added it because their feedback was this game is dog shit.
I reckon they took it out because it was too long.
Yeah.
They kind of timed it. And then went, I just know. They just have random stuff.
But again, you could just put a market in. A market again would work.
Yeah, it would do.
Like, there's so many things that don't have to dramatically increase the game that are better than drawing blindly off a deck of cards.
And there's only one other game I haven't mentioned that I backed, and that's because it's on Gamefound. Is Divinius or Divinius 2.
I heard about them. Yeah.
So it's a Lucky Duck game, and it's a legacy game, and it looks awesome. So you're basically gods of Vikings and Greek gods, and you're basically trying to change the land below you and be the better god, basically. But it's got this legacy campaign where you actually stick stickers down, you change your stats and things like that, and you play through, I think, 12 games, changing this over, and then there's also, once you've completed it, there's this eternal game you can play afterwards. So it's not just a once play and done. You can actually play the eternal mode over and over again, and they balance it all up so everyone becomes like the same power. But this isn't a game, as I backed it right from the beginning, but as it went through, this is a game where they U-turned a lot on it, which is quite funny because people complaining, saying, oh, we don't like the fact that you're permanently sticking stickers on, or what if I want to play it again, I want to like play it with different gods, because they're sending you so many gods, of course. That they came back and said, oh, so we're going to do removable stickers like they do with Gloomhaven.
Yeah.
And they also got recharge packs, so you can basically start the campaign over again with different gods, with different people, and play the campaign multiple times instead of the once, which is actually quite a good U-turn. And they've chucked the recharge packs in free on your pledge, which is quite good. And then also, because of course there's lots of extra stuff coming, they put out a big box pledge, and the big box pledge had a different artwork on it. And people complain, saying that they want the artwork that's on the standard box, and two, they want the big box to fit in a Kallax shelf. So now they're having to go back to, they've redone the big box artwork and got the artwork
who
onto
did this one?
Lucky Duck Games.
I just can't see it on their Kickstarter.
It's not Kickstarter, it's Gamefound.
Oh, Gamefound, that's why I
I'll
can't.
send you. I'll give you the link. Nope, that's my Sony PlayStation account link.
I don't need that one.
You sure?
Who set up Gamefound then?
So Gamefound basically was a pledge manager system that was set up. So when you've done Kickstarter, they offered the service where all the backers go here, they can enter details and they can change their pledge or put add-ons onto it and things like that. And now they've actually opened up their own kind of Kickstarter funding
It's
platform.
nice to have a different have a choice.
Yeah, so they're actually doing quite well. I mean, as I said, they've got all Lucky Duck games now, and
Skyrim board game that's on there.
Portal Games is on there, and they're actually getting some big board games, and this could be a problem for people that have fear of missing out kind of thing. So this is a game I did get pledge all the way for unnecessarily. So I do hope this works, and we're not getting it until like end of 2022. So hopefully all that time puts a lot of effort into it and make it work.
It'll take long to ship
One of
it.
the things I will say, I know I just got stung with Kingdom Rush with Lucky Duck.
Yeah.
You can never fault them for the effort that they put behind all their games.
No.
And their production quality is always exceptional.
Yeah.
And if a game doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I guess that's not necessarily always their fault. Sometimes you can try and be. Sometimes a game can fall based on the tiniest little change that happens late on, and you haven't noticed it because you're too deep in, isn't it? Like it's kind of so nuanced.
Indeed.
That.
Yeah.
So I mean, this Gamefound works pretty similar to Kickstarter, but what I did like with it, they, so when they had the stretch goals come out, you can actually see like a temperature gauge building up, the bar filling up of how close it is to getting to that next stretch goal.
Yeah.
So instead of sitting there and trying to work out how far they are getting there, it actually displays that in front of you. Even though you can't really do anything about it, it's like, well, let's just hope more people put money into it.
Yeah,
but,
it's a nice, easy check. That's real pushing stretch goals, though, isn't it? That is.
Yeah, I mean that's just they've taken that like what Kickstarter don't do very well and integrated into this system. But then Kickstarter, beforehand when Kickstarter came along, it was like they funded, that was the end of the project. They didn't continue on with stretch goals. It was, oh, you got your money, oh, well done, fund, okay, now make it. It was, I think it was board games that really added in this kind of stretch goal system. And some companies use it to its full potential. Call me or not. Anyway. So so there was like quite a few stretch goals to this, but you look at it and it's like they were planned. They were already in design and already there.
It always are. Yeah,
it's the way they're done.
Yeah. So because it got to, I think it was like 5 days away from finishing date, and they said, "Oh, we've done all the stretch goals. Thanks very much, everyone. We've raised tons of money. Now we'll go off and celebrate on this money you've given us." So yeah. Hello there, Joel here in the editing booth, and I just realised that I didn't ask Nick what he was backing on Kickstarter. He did mention when we were talking that he was backing Eternal Palace as well, and then I asked him via messages what he's backing, and he says he's backing Distilled, what we mentioned earlier, Overstocked, which looks like a fun tile overlaying game themed around like 80s 90s toys, and you're getting far too many of them, but you've got to keep putting them somewhere. Revenge and Roll is another one he's backing, and also he did say from Monday, probably Tuesday, Mystic Mischief is going live on Gamefound. He did the solo mode for it, so he's slightly biased, but that'll be another one he's backing. So we'll check that out and see what it's like. So yeah, that's what Nick's backing. Done, I think.
That'll do. It's getting late.
It is late.
I've got to dig a trench tomorrow.
Lucky you.
As you do.
As you do. I'm laying a new. There's a drainage ditch that goes just at the bottom end of my garden, and it just sort of stops at my drive. And then when it gets very wet in winter, it just sort of overflows and it erodes my drive. So I've got a big ass 6-meter pipe that needs laying underneath it.
Joy.
So I need to dig the trench.
Comfy. Yeah.
I've dug about 2 meters of it so far. It was hard work.
So this has been fun. It's been good to get back behind the mics and have a good old natter. And if you hadn't noticed, Sam actually fell asleep and left the podcast. No, he had to get on with some work. He was behind on work, so he had to leave partway through and get on with that. Joys of life as normal. But I do thank him for turning up. And I might see him tomorrow night, actually. Game night at Meeples. But anyway, Lewis, thank you for coming.
Very good to chat to you guys again.
Yeah. You still owe me an explanation for just leaving me and not saying goodbye.
I didn't mean just leaving it and not saying goodbye. I told you I was going months before I left.
No, you did. You said you were moving, and then the next time I spoke to you, you're like, "Yeah, I moved. I've gone." What?
Well, I said exactly. I told you months in advance. Oh, I'm moving.
You even went and saw Karen and Nigel and said bye to them. And they're like,
sorry? You
even went to see Karen and Nigel and said bye to them.
No, I went to pick up the game.
Yeah, you're getting a game off of them.
Yeah. But again, you knew I was moving and I was going, and I'm pretty sure we were like in the middle of like lockdown-ness then as well, weren't we?
Yeah, I know. Anyway, Nick, thank you very much. It's good
You're
to have
welcome,
someone
guys.
on the,
Yeah.
it's good
great
to have
to chat
someone
to
on the show that knows what they're talking about.
No change, yeah.
It's good fun.
So yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Hope you enjoyed this very lengthy podcast. Hopefully we'll be back again sometime in the next couple of weeks for another instalment of this Rams. No, we can't use that. That's someone else's podcast. This mismatch burning at the stake podcast. I don't know. I have to think of some kind of
ranting and raving.
Ranting and raving podcast. Bite a bunch of idiots, apart from Nick. Anyway. Thank you lot. Hope you enjoy your day, your weekend, whatever you're doing, and I'll catch you soon for some more tales and woes from us. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
This has been a Devon Dice podcast recorded on the 26th of August 2021. I'd like to thank you for listening, and please check out our other channels. We have our YouTube channel, which you can find at Devon Dice UK, where we do lots of unboxings, reviews, and other stuff. You can go along to our website, which is devondice.co.uk, and check out more written stuff from us there. And also you can find me as Devon Dice UK on Twitter, and you find us on Facebook page. The other guys are not available, as they shun all kinds of social media, except for Nick. If you want to talk to Nick about board game design or solo mode for your board game, then you contact him via things like NJShaw2 on Twitter or Facebook. Right, thank you for listening, and hope you have a very good day